Hello, hello. Um, how's it going? Hello, Carmody. What's up? So we're going to do the review of season 32 of Lichess4545 League. Hello, Sponge Like Canon. Hey guys. Um, sorry, I'm starting with a bit of delay. I didn't have time to prepare everything that I wanted, but there's a plus side to that is that some of the games I'm going to review today will surprise me because I didn't look. I wanted to look at them to at least make a selection of games because we have quite a bunch of nominated games, but I only had time to select like for the top boards. So um, um, yeah, still good. Hey, Sponge Like Cannon subscribing. Thank you again. Yeah. Um, Thank you for that. Oh, wait a second. I don't have sounds on my computer. I missed the notification, but I saw it in the chat. Okay, and now I have sound. Yeah, so I'm ready to start. Well, first of all, for those of you who are watching the video and don't know what is this, Lichess 45 League is a league that's played on Lichess, as the name suggests. It's the time control is 45 minutes plus 45 seconds per move. So it's a very long time control, classical time control. Still not as long as I'm used to when I play over the board, but good enough, right? For especially for online chess, 45 plus 45. It's really slow time control. And this is a team league, so we have teams. So I think season 33 has just already started. Someone can confirm, or it starts this week. Um, but yeah, right after one season ends, the next one begins, and you can join pretty much at any time because you can also join as an alternate, even if the season already started. And you'll be put, according to your rating, whatever you belong. Like top boards are the strongest. Then we have, I think, 8 boards. So yeah, all sorts of levels. In fact, let's have a quick look at the rosters. Am I sharing my screen properly? Yeah, you can see more or less. More or less, you can see my screen. um, yeah, as you can tell, there are many players in this league. You see all the teams, all the players with their 8 boards, and yeah, tons of them. I don't even know how many players do we have here, but it's quite a lot. And then you have also the alternates. Here I am. I sapped for a couple rounds in this in this season, and yeah, many alternates per board as well. Sometimes you don't get to play because alternates are there to fill in gaps when players can't play. Anyway, as a summary of the season, let's say that Sac Oops was the winner team, which I had the luck to sub for in one of those 2 rounds. I subbed for them. I got a win, so that was good. But the team yeah, scored impressively, and I think it's the first time in the history of this league that the winning team started with a loss on round one. See how they lost on round one, and then they won every round. Is there an award for best team name? I don't know. There should be, right? I see always a lot of fun names in here, so maybe there's an award for that. I don't know. I have no idea. But yeah, there's some funny games there, some funny names. Yeah, stuck fishing for compliments. Queen e2 check, king takes e2. On Topal of the World. I like that one. Captain James T. Perch. Lucina in the sky with diamonds. Just look at the position. That's a cool name. Okay, so yeah, many teams, and at the end, Sac Oops winning. So congratulations and shout out to all the players in that team: Chakatuma, Bitter Cherry, Allen, Pharmacist, Midnight Toker, F. Buffier, Two Beats, and Morris, Ohio, let's say. Plus, I think there were a few subs there. I know I did one round. I know Cathode did in another round, and yeah, I don't know if there were more. Anyway, impressive. I've never been to a team that won the league before, and I was only for one round in this one, so it doesn't count. Anyway, there's some stats. Well, actually, I think the stats for this season are not ready yet. Uh, no, I joined as an alternate. I didn't have a team. I joined as an alternate. So one round I played for them for Sac Oops, and the other round I played for another team, and I can't remember because I only remember the winner. If I see the name, yeah, the Fisherman. The Fisherman. I subbed for the Fisherman my other round. Yeah. Um, yeah. So don't really have a team. However, I have to say that the team Sac Oops uh, received me well, and they let me stay in their chat until the end of the league, even though I wasn't playing for them anymore. Cool people, cool people. All right. So what we're going to do now? I don't think there's any other interesting stats to show or that I prepare anyway. With your record, surely a top 10 team will come calling in the transfer window. Yeah, I'm not going to play the next season. I didn't even join as an alternate because, well, I joined the Chess 960 League. So for now, I'm not going to join any other leagues. I have a round per week for the following, I think, 7 weeks. Or, no, actually, only 5 for the following 5 weeks. But still, I have that and the Backhouse World Championships. No more, nothing else. I don't need more competitions. Um, yeah, so people who joined this league and enjoyed this league, and there's the Slack and people talking there, and some people have a lot of time to play chess, analyze chess, and so on. When I have time, from time to time, I go look some of the games in this league. I really like the website. The website, they use it for other competitions, not just for the 4545 league. They use it, as you can tell, for the 960 league, for example, as well. And it's pretty nice because if there's any game being played, you can find it under the TV section. Now there are no games because the league is not going on. But for example, if we go to the 960 league that I'm also playing, there may be some games here. At least you have the calendar, which, by the way, I should be playing on Sunday. Yeah, there I am on Sunday. Okay, so. So yeah, website is really nice, and there's this section nominate a game where people can go and, well, now nominations are closed for this season, but people can go and nominate a game for, in this case, we're on season 32. I just browsed away, but yeah, for season 32 nominations are still open, but I'm not going to consider them. So yeah, all the games that have been nominated as best games or most interesting games or whatever reason you have to nominate a game have been sent to me. I have the complete list. I put them on a study on Lichess, and I was going to curate that. I was going to select interesting highlights to show today. That was the plan. I didn't. I mean, I had a look only again at the top boards, so I did a very narrow, very small selection. And yeah, the plan is we're gonna go over some of those games, analyze them briefly, because I don't want this stream to be 8 hours, and yeah, show some highlights and possibly share my comments on those games, and hopefully it'll be interesting for everybody. All right, so I have my study here. At the end, I'm going to share the study and as well as the video and everything. And The plan is I'm going to show one game per board. So I have eight. We have 8 boards. Well, actually, I have all the games here. I just separated them by boards. For example, for board 3, we had a lot of nominations. And for some other boards, like board 8, we only got one. So that's the game I'm going to show. And for other boards, I'll just pick one of them and show it. And maybe at the end we can show some other interesting moments here and there from other boards, but from other games, sorry. But yeah, just one game per board. And before I start with that, let me do a little disclaimer. I selected some games already. Some others I didn't, so I will do it. I will improvise. But the games I selected, the reason I selected them is kind of a mix of reasons. Hey, Jay Carmody, thanks for the subscription, man. Uh, one of the games in the list, not a disclaimer, one of the games in the list is by Jay Carmody, so we're going to get there. But yeah, the reasons, the criteria I used to pick games, this is a bit of a disclaimer before I start, because maybe somebody gets, like mad at, oh, why didn't you pick my game and so on. So first of all, you had to nominate the game, otherwise I wouldn't ever get in the list. Second, I picked, I had to pick one per board just to make this affordable, and so I picked games that were at the same time interesting, or looked interesting to me, although all of them look interesting to me. They're short because I've done this kind of streams before, and I tend to analyze too much, and so I don't want this to be again a lot of hours. So so in case of doubt, I picked the shortest games, just to make the whole session shorter, and then also games that I can actually commentate, or I feel like I can say something about, and they can be instructional. Like, for example, on the top boards, there are some games that they seem so interesting but so hard to explain to me that I feel like I would need to spend time studying them, and it would be interesting, but I think that's beyond the scope of this session today. So I picked other game. I left out some game that maybe actually too tough, maybe. And I picked that doesn't mean that it's not high quality. Indeed, it means the opposite. It's too high quality. So I picked some that maybe contain mistakes, but it's possibly more instructional. So yeah. With all that being said, I think I should start already. And if anyone wants to participate, of course, in the chat, I'm going to be following your comments, questions, and anything you want to say about these games that you may already have seen. But yeah, hopefully we'll cover some interesting highlights from this season. So the first game we have here, it's from board 1. And let me adjust my camera for a second. You let me know if the board is correct, properly shown. I think it is. Let me actually, sorry about this. Let me maybe make this slightly bigger so the board fits better. And sorry about this. I was just adjusting. Now let's analyze without engine. So that's not it. That's not it. How do you hide the end? Oh, that's it. Okay, no computer analysis. We're gonna, yeah, I think the layout is perfect now. You can see the moves. I can see the moves. We can see the board, and you can see my camera. So we're ready to begin. So yeah, the first game we're gonna see is the game between Crazy Merlin and AP, that nickname. And I don't think I have picked any interesting moments here, but I can't remember the game. I think I watched it, but I can't remember. So let's have a look at what happened in this game. Most of the games, they will surprise me, and I've haven't seen them before. But this one I picked it for a reason. I can't remember now the reason. So let's see. E45, knight f3, knight c6. I'm gonna try to provide commentary on what I see, and hopefully that'll be useful for everybody. Another thing I want to say is I've done this kind of stream in the past, and I've tried both to go from board 1 to board 8, which is what I'm going to do today, and I tried the opposite from board 8 to 1, and I think what works best is to going from board 1 to 8. So we start, let's say, with highest quality, but maybe not as instructional, and we end up with probably a lot of instructional content where also, if I get tired over time, it's easier for me to commentate. So yeah, let's do it this way. And we have a Spanish opening, Ruy Lopez, a6, one of the main moves. That's the classical line. The other interesting option in the elite especially is used a lot is the Berlin, as you know. And bishop a4, knight f6 now, castle. All of this is very, very standard. This is like super mainline theory with d6 also, and now c3, d4, and h3 first. Now knight b8 is the Breyer Spanish, well, the Breyer line, the Breyer defense, I think it's called, of the Ruy Lopez, where black, the knight had a purpose in the opening on c6. It was supporting e5 and it was doing stuff, but now with this pawn on c3, well, the knight is, and this pawn on e5, the knight is not doing anything, so it reroutes to a better place where it will support this push. All of this is super common. This knight will go there. So this game is actually very interesting to show because it shows many of the typical plans in the Ruy Lopez. I don't want to go super in depth into this because then I won't have time to show everything. So let's continue until we find some interesting moments. I think there were some blunders in this game. I can't remember them. Actually, maybe there's a way that I disabled computer analysis. Is there a way that I can still show the analysis again, but hide the bar? I think there's a way to do that. 1 second. Gauche? Oh yeah, that's the gauche. Okay. And best move arrow. So I'm going to disable everything except the analysis itself. So I have it here under the board, and I will scroll so that you can see it sometimes, if that's all right. And that way we can see moments where something happened. Like in this game, we can see there's a moment there that's interesting where the engine already says that something happened. So let's get there. But yeah, for now, let's continue. c5, all of this is very, very normal. d5. Now, these openings, well, this opening in concrete, the Spanish Ruy Lopez, I have to say, I've played it even against GMs over the board. It's one of the most complex opening, even if you see games and you understand the plans because they're always the same. But there's so many different options for everything at any point. Like for pawn structures, for example, at this point, even though white has the center very well supported, black is also fighting back very well on the center, and now many different pawn structures can happen. In fact, one of the features of this position that we have in front of our eyes, and I think I have had this position before a few times, is that all the pieces and all the pawns are still on the board. There were no trades yet. So we're here on move 15, no trades have happened. That means the position is very complicated, even though, if it has been seen before and all the ideas, g6 was played, so this bishop is rerouted to g7. We know this knight wanted to go, like many of the plans are normal, but the position is still very much alive. and many things can happen. Like this trade can happen, this push can happen. This push happened indeed, we just saw d5, but that's completely different structure than if white takes either pawn, and many different things could be done. So d5 is trying to grab space and try to fix this d6 weakness, for the future, let's say. And c4, grabbing space, getting some squares for the knight. So yeah, I I feel the danger that I'm going move by move now, trying to make commentary, and I don't want that because I won't have time. So let's just keep moving. The moves more or less seem logical. Bishop, even though it was en route to g7, it went back now here because white decided to pin this knight, and very interesting because thanks to queen d2, which is the last move by white, h6 is not possible. So that completely explains why black decided to go bishop e7. Because otherwise, let's say if the queen was not on d2, I guess h6 would have been more normal, but it's not possible. So yeah, this is the kind of commentary that I can do move by move that I don't want to go into. So I'll try to avoid it, and only if something seems strange, I will say something about it. Here, white is sacrificing a pawn, which is very interesting. Like that pawn is hanging, right? But I guess it's, well, maybe not risky, but a little bit risky to open lines in front of your king when your king is a little bit weak. Especially, it would be giving away the dark square bishop, because if I was white, I would just take it, and then all those dark squares would be weak. And also, yeah, the h-file open, so that pawn will be very well compensated with all these pieces ready to attack, and possibly one day the rook coming to the h-file. But yeah, black decided to trade on the other side. The knight was really annoying, so white eliminates it. c4 is hanging. So yeah, the position is getting complicated. White still giving this away. Black finally defended this. No pressure there. And h5 break. And yeah, the position very, very complicated, very interesting. Knight g5. This knight is jumping. Rook f1. Okay. Knight d3. And that's a funny move because we're defending this pawn, the pawn that black just attacked, and now we're like, no, we don't care about that pawn. We want to attack, and this move is clearly intending to launch an attack here. So pawn takes g6 could be a threat, but I can tell that knight takes f7, knight takes h7 come as ideas as well in this position. White has suddenly many pieces ready to attack, and even the f4 break to incorporate the rook could be possible at some point. So bishop f6. Now we're not going to go into all the calculations about sacrifices, and so finally the knight got that square because black decided to take with the f pawn here. There was the other option, but that would open the h-file, and I don't know. Well, interesting. Again, we're not going to go into calculations because this is not a super key moment. The knight on e6 seems really annoying. Now the queen moved, and black is ready to try to go after this knight. This knight is really annoying. So, and knight f5. Look at this. This is beautiful. Now I remember the game. Now I remember the game, and we're gonna see a very, very interesting moment. This game ended in a draw, but white could have won this game. So knight f5. Well, the pawn is pinned, so it's not a problem for the knight. But the knight is coming to h6, and that's a really ugly position. It's so ugly that if black is not careful, I mean, look at these beautiful knights. This one here and that one coming to h6. Like, it's black to move now, and black could even blunder mating one. Like, if you go bishop h8, knight h6 is mate, right? So right now the king only has one escape square. Don't put a piece there. Queen d7 was played. And the knight went there anyway, and king h8. So the queen came to defend f7, because otherwise knight f7 could be annoying at some point. And now f4, boom, opening lines, opening the position to enter with the rook. And this is getting really dangerous for black. And now a very, very interesting moment happened. Um, very interesting. Pawn takes f4, normal. Bishop takes f4. And now black, that's a very interesting check with queen a7, thanks to the fact that the bishop just moved. Queen a7 check. And now a normal move would have been king h1, but king h1, black can win an exchange with knight f2. So king h2 seems logical. And king h2 was played indeed. And now here comes a bad move by black that turned out to work well. So this was very interesting. Let me hide this, the moves I mean. So black took on f4. Let's see if anyone in the chat wants to take a guess on which way should white take the knight. We have three ways to capture the knight back. Rook takes, queen takes, or knight takes. Which one you think is best? White was winning at this point, but white did the wrong capture here, and it all ended up being a draw. So this was a key moment in this game. And it's some beautiful tactics are happening. I would probably have done the same, the same as Crazy Merlin did in the game. I would probably play queen takes f4. Aha. Ergo Proxy says knight takes, otherwise ping. Right, so Ergo Proxy sees the problem of the ping. It's a pity I don't have the clocks here. I thought I should have the clocks from the game, but I guess I lost them when I moved it to the study. It would be interesting to see how much time did white have left in the on the clock, because I think with a little, if you spend a little time, you can make this work. So queen takes f4 or rook takes f4. Yeah, the problem is the pin, right? Bishop e5. And I, you know, the other day we were discussing about a puzzle, and you know, the ratings of the puzzles are tricky because some puzzles, I think only weak players, like very weak players or very strong players, solve them, and sometimes the other way around, like players in the middle solve them if you're too strong or too. What I what I want to say is, if you're too weak and you don't see the problems, then you're happy. Now, if you're strong enough to see the problems, then you're not happy. But then if you're strong enough to see the problems and the solutions to the problems, then so what I mean is, if you don't see the pin, you take with the queen, right? It's the most natural move. Now, queen takes f4 is the best move. But again, if you don't go deep enough, you may just play it because it's the most natural move. Now, if you go just one move deeper and you see, oh, there's bishop e5 pinning my queen, then you don't play queen takes f4. But if you're strong enough or you calculate deep enough to see that after bishop e5 you have a win, then you play queen takes f4, right? So truly, ignorance is bliss. But I think you're just being polite. I'm not too good to see the ping. Well, I have the opinion that any player can solve any tactical concrete puzzle given enough time. That's my opinion. I think I don't know, someone of my level, for example, I don't know, I'm not a master, but I think if I'm given enough time, I can solve, let's say, in 20 minutes what a master may be able to solve in 2 minutes. Something like that. It's approximate, but I think anyone, you know, given time and given, of course, the will to to calculate and explore paths in their way, in their mind, you know, you would eventually see the ping. Maybe you need more time because you're not trained, or your brain is not trained to see those things on the spot. But yeah, so that's why these longer time controls are good, because everybody can play better than when they play blitz. So yeah, the problem with queen takes f4, let's put it on the board. Queen takes f4 was not playing in the game. In the game, rook takes f4 was played. So queen takes f4 seems like, okay, we're hanging the queen to bishop e5, right? The thing is, we're not hanging the queen to bishop e5 because, and who sees this? Who in the chat sees the continuation now? Our queen is pinned. What do we do? They're threatening to take our queen with check. That's not good. This would have been, queen takes f4 could have been the move of the season if it was played, but it wasn't played. It's a pity. It's such a beautiful move, because it would have won. Queen takes f4, and after bishop e5, well, it wasn't that difficult to calculate. Again, with time, I think the player maybe could have seen it, because when you calculate, you of course have to consider checks, checkmate threats, capture threats, forcing moves. So the only check that white has in this position, we should consider it when we calculate. TL Jones, welcome. So yeah, knight f7 is the only check. Well, no, it's not. Sorry. I said the only check. We have another check. The other check we have is queen takes bishop. That's a check too. But yeah, knight f7 check. It's a fork. It's a fork to the king and the bishop. That means that if the king moves to g8, which is the only move the king has, then we take the bishop. Problem solved. And then we take the pawn also. And then we have two protected central pass pawns, completely winning position. So the other thing black can do is, oh, but I can take your knight because your queen is pinned, so you can't take my queen, right? But then again, intermediate moves, or in this case checks, the only check we have now, queen takes bishop check, unleashing the attack on that queen. So we actually everybody grabbed a piece, like black grabbed a piece on f7, now we grabbed a piece on e5. Now black gets the queen, but now white gets the queen. So in the end, it was just a trade, but it was a trade where white actually managed to win a lot of positional advantages. Now we have a pass pawn. This was not here before because of this capture. And we also have a rook on the 7th rank, a very strong rook on the 7th rank. Indeed, I mean, now black needs to be incredibly careful, like not to lose on the spot. So queen takes f4 is winning? Yes. Finally, my weak will and time poverty have come good. Yeah, exactly. Queen takes f4 was the best move due to this continuation. Now, I found it funny because, again, what I said earlier, I think if you don't calculate deep enough, you may just do it. And then if you calculate more, then you don't do it. But then if you calculate even more, just one more move, you're like, oh yeah, it's good. So it's funny how you see sometimes puzzles or positions that weak players and very strong players solve, but players with a middle strength, they don't, because they see problems, they just don't see the solutions to those problems. But it's funny how if you're too weak or you don't calculate enough, if your calculation is perfunctory, which is a word I learned, then you may play the best move. And in fact, and this is even funner, being a weak player, sometimes you play better than being a bit stronger, because you would do queen takes f4, then they would play this, and then if you refrain from clicking the resign button and you say, okay, let's try to find a move here, then you may actually find knight f7 because it's the only check. I mean, it's like not that complicated once you're in this position. So yeah, sometimes by playing badly, you end up playing better than if you don't play that badly. Does this make sense? What I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? And this happened to me in games that, games that I feel I'm not calculating deep enough, and then I do some kind of brilliancy, like, entering by accident because I didn't see my queen was getting pinned. And then once they pin your queen, you're like, okay, let's try to find a solution here. And then you find the solution because it's all very concrete. The threat is so big. The threat is so big that it narrows down your options, and you see the only option you have and you play it, and then you win, and then you're like, okay, I played my most brilliant game by accident. that's that's why chess is so complicated. All right, so that was a fun moment in the game. Rook takes f4 happened, and as a result, the game continued with bishop e5. Now there's no knight f7 anymore, because now knight f7, black just takes, and the rook is pinned, and the rook, being a rook, can't capture on e5 with a check. So yeah, this didn't work as well as with the queen. Black is winning that exchange now on f4, and after g3, bishop takes, queen takes. Now the position is still complicated. It's a balanced. A balanced. It's actually imbalanced. it's very asymmetric. White still better. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. I didn't find the words, and the words are simple. White is still better. White still has a lot of threats and attack with these knights around the king, with the fact that this knight is preventing any rook from f8. The knight is controlling g7, so actually queen f6 is a mate threat. So black's still in danger, except it's black's turn, and black obviously gives the exchange back just to try and survive. And in the end, this fizzled out into a more or less equal position. At this point already, the material is pretty much equal. White's still a pawn up, but it's not the healthiest pawn ever. And some trades there. Knight f5, nice move to capture this rook. But black got some counterplay there. And yeah, here, game ended in a draw. According to the engine, nothing wrong about these last moves. It was a draw apparently, but of course it's complicated, and you can tell that there was the danger for both sides to lose, or maybe for black more than for white, because with this bishop here, black is never gonna coordinate a good attack. But at least for a perpetual, it was good enough. So yeah, that was an interesting moment from board one. Again, I have other games from board one. I'll go back to them if I have enough time at the end. So let's just move now to a game from board number two. And we have selected Hippo Shaman versus Gavalanche 20. And let me rewind the game. There you go. As you can tell, white ended up winning after a couple of blunders at least. So let's see what happened in this game. I don't remember. C4. Okay, C4, E6, G3. Probably going into some Catalan territory, although D5, CD happened very fast. And we have this position. Boring. No, just kidding. But I mean, normal opening. I'm not going to go move by move. Yeah, Queen B6 is an interesting approach by black, who's saying, I don't care if you double my pawns, because it's still a very good pawn structure, very compact. Because the alternative is to put the queen like on c8 or d7. If you put it on c7, there's bishop f4 with tempo. Okay, so going for a queen trade in that fashion seems pretty interesting. And now knight e4. Yeah, white completely dominating these light squares. g4. That now white here needs to take back that knight, because if you take on f5, there's knight takes it to check. So yeah, black managed to keep the bishop pair. And white is doing the same, right? Black play knight e4 to trade the knight. Now white doing the same. That's a pawn for black. E4, enough counterplay though, enough pressure here. It's an extra pawn, but doubled. It can be, it, I mean, the rooks and the bishops. I have the feeling that white can liquidate at any moment, but we'll see what happened. Rook fc1. Now it's maybe preparing c4, so bishop c4 blocking that. f4. f4. f4 is such a strange move. I would never think of a move like f4. Okay. So well, it exposes the king, but okay, arguably we're very close to an endgame, so it's not that problematic. Maybe the king just wants to come to the center, but look at that bishop on e5. That bishop is out of squares. Like it doesn't have a lot of squares. It has one. So black decided to play f6 here, which makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense because you can think of maybe protecting c7 first, but then white is in time to get more squares for the bishop. So first f6, and now here b5. Okay, and this is sort of a threat. Well, it depends on these rooks getting traded or not. I guess the bishop is fine, but yeah, rook e1, threatening, takes and takes. Seems good. Bishop a3, very nice Karpovian move. By Karpovian, I mean I'm remembering those that beautiful bishop a7 where you know there's an open file, you put a bishop in the middle, protected, and then you're in time to double your rooks and then use the a file. At some point you remove the bishop. I don't know if that happened in this game, but this is what it reminds me of. There's also bishop b2, by the way, as a threat. So the rook just goes away. Bishop d5. Okay. Bishop d5, interesting offer to trade bishops, where the position would remain complicated, and with all the rooks on the board, we can't just give a very clear assessment. But if we only consider the bishops, the remaining bishops, that would be in black's favor, because we would have a dark square bishop attacking the opponent's pawns fixed in black squares, while white would have also a dark square bishop, which that wouldn't be able to attack all those black pawns on light squares. So in principle, only considering the bishops, this is a good trade for black. That's why black offers this trade. But of course, with rooks on the board, it's more complicated than that. And in fact, the pawn structure, the remaining pawn structure with pawns on b7, b5, and d5, those pawns are really weak to the attack of rooks. So yeah, I guess it's interesting. I still like black, and you know, black is a pawn up. But white decided to avoid the trade, which makes sense. Now g6. Now the trade happens anyway in a different fashion. I guess white is claiming that the rook is better there. King f7. The rook has to go, or be defended maybe with the other rook. But okay, rook e3, rook e8, rook d3. Okay, white is doing some decisions that look strange to me, because of course when you're a pawn down or material down in general, you don't want to trade off everything in general. But on the other hand, I think you shouldn't be giving away everything either. Like, you know, white is, instead of, I assume rook e1, the reason you don't want to go rook e1 is because then all the rooks gonna get traded. So white is trying to avoid the trades. But after rook e8, I mean, rook d3, you're giving away the file like that. I would trade at least one couple of rooks. I don't know. That's me. It feels like you're giving away too much just to avoid the trades. But okay, let's move on. Rook e7 with a tempo, and now rook a8. Very logical move. The engine hates it, but oh, because there was rook a6 here. Yeah, remember how this bishop was short of squares? Rook a6 would have led to either bishop c5 or bishop d8, right? So bishop c5, I think black is very happy with this trade. And I imagine here rook a4 being a good move, rook e4, and also rook e2 and rook a2. I mean, these pawns are much better than these pawns. Yeah, this would have been very good for black, and eventually probably black can try to target this pawn, like maybe just this move, right? Just win a tempo, and then on the next move we're gonna put pressure on those pawns. Yeah, this would have been a dream for black. And the alternative is going here, but maybe your bishop is lost, right? It's completely out of squares. Yeah. So that was this moment. Rook a6 did not happen, and black played rook a8. d5, white trying to trade pawns, which makes sense. Take, attack on the bishop, and now rook takes b5. Technically a mistake according to the engine, but okay. Oh, because of this trick. Nice find by Gavalanche. I did not see this game, I think. So yeah, the engine recommended bishop f2. So rook takes b5, yes, wins that pawn, but hey, Gavalanche, you're here. Well, I'm sorry. This game was nominated, so it's in the list. And I picked this one over others because I think it was shorter than others. But I don't think I've seen this game. Okay, so rook takes b6, very nice move. And now rook a5. And now here comes a blunder, according to the analysis. We're at this moment where black is winning, and then suddenly black is not winning. Well, black is a piece up. And basically every move that saves the bishop, I guess, should keep the advantage. But in the game, rook d6 happened. Yeah, it's funny how the bishop gets trapped. Yeah. So yeah, the engine recommendation is rook a6. I suppose you maybe slightly concerned about rook d7, but I think there's always rook e7, nothing dangerous. But I mean, let's say bishop e7, then rook d7, then you need to, I don't know. Feels like any move here. Try to get too cute. Yeah, too cute with rook d6. And well, this is funny. It's in the way of the bishop. It's funny how you put it in the way of the bishop. So now after rook b1, which was found by white, the bishop has no squares. That's sad news. Sad news. The rooks do a pretty good job in this pawn. Well, the rook too. Yeah. So as a result, the game should be a draw now. Like, the material is completely equal. Cute moves are so often blunders. Yeah. Yeah, that's why I try to avoid them. I try to play as boring as I can. And now, hello, Unsolution. I'm sorry, Gavalanche, that I'm showing this game, but I see what's coming. I don't see I didn't see the game, but we see what's coming here. And as it's often the case, it's very easy to analyze the games after the games have been played, and you have to put yourself in the shoes of the player. And this is a proper sorry not sorry. Yes, like if you knew what was going to happen, I'm sure you would be looking for a draw here instead of whatever happened, which I don't know what's going to happen. But hey, Singularity, thanks for the raid. Welcome. So yeah, this is a typical situation where you have a rook on the 7th rank, and if you get the other rook to the 7th rank, it must be a draw already. Here, of course, you need to be careful with rook takes b7 check, so maybe you need to prepare it a bit, but I mean, rook e7, then put the king somewhere safer, and then rook e2 as a plan would be my guess here. Or I would start with rook e7 and then probably rook c2 or something. But rook c2 was played in the game, which is still a draw according to the engine, which leads me to think that rook e2 directly would also be a draw. Hey, thanks. I hope you had a great stream. Yeah, and 2 rooks on the 7th rank. it's like perpetually so easy. So yeah, that would be my guess for the shortest path for a draw, possibly. But okay, rook c2, rook check, and rook e7. Right. Okay, this is not so easy now. Hey, Vitorian, welcome. Yeah, I find this very risky because just after giving the pawn, I would have kept the rooks, because now after the trade, it may still be a draw, but now you need to prove that you have the technique to make a draw here. You're a pawn down, and regardless what the engine says, which is 0-0-0, now it's already a difficult task. Rook a7. Oh, now it's no longer difficult. Yeah, that was also a strange decision by white to take on h7, because I think white needs to keep the c pawn as a general plan to try and win. What I would have done is probably keep the rook on a3, or if you did a check, then put it on c7. But I would probably have kept it there and then run with this to remove this rook from behind the pawn. And I know I'm gonna have to give away some of the pawns, but it's the way to push for a win, I think. What else? Anyway, or maybe you put the rook in front and then you expect to defend also your pawns this way. I don't know. Mr. Scribbles, welcome. So yeah, after those trades, it should again be a draw, especially with pawns on one side of the board, and especially after trading pawns, right? So an h4. Oh my god. How did you lose this, Kavash? Oh my god. Sorry. Okay. So king f6, rook h5, and rook c4. Hey, no problem. Okay. So rook c4 is puzzling, because just king g6, just put the king already in front of the pawn, should be a draw, right? This should still be a draw. Don't get me wrong. Hey, Kuro. Welcome. Did you not watch Pepe's stream on Rook and Pawn Endgames? What did it say? I don't know, but I said hey Kuro. So every time, Kuro, every time I salute you, Google has to say something. All right. So yeah, unfortunately, yeah, that's exactly Gatsinisco. That's what I was gonna say. Unfortunately, there are so many ways to draw this that it's a pity that Avalanche lost it. But on the plus side, we're gonna learn something today, right? So we're gonna go over the knight's pawn again and mention all the ways to draw this. You can draw this using the Philidor technique. You can draw this using the Kling and Horwich technique, because you're completely in time to set up any of those. You can draw this by just first rank defense, because it's a nice pawn. So what is first rank defense? Let me put it. So right now king g3 was played, and rook c3 check. Okay, so instead of rook c3 check, let me show you one easy way to draw is bring the king to the first rank. Let's say white brings the king up. This was not the game, okay? This is analysis. Now let's bring the king there. We want to move this pawn up, so let's put the rook there so we can move the king and the pawn and so on. We don't care about that. We put a rook on the first rank. I have no idea how to play for either side, and I just like to offer my resignation here just in case I ever get this position. Okay, so this is something we're gonna learn today. Okay, some of us. If the opponent has a knight pawn, a pawn that starts on a knight file, B or G, you can put your king in the first rank, just in front of the pawn, okay? Keep it as close to the corner as possible in those two squares. The rook on the first rank, and I tell you there's no human possible way to win this for white. Just that. I think it's the easiest. the easiest defense of rook and pawn versus rook. And okay, as someone said, well, flagging, yeah, but this is 45 plus 45, Kudo. But yeah, as someone said in the chat already, uh, check out my streams on rook and pawn versus rook because we covered this actually. It is on YouTube. I should link from this video. I should link to that one. If you flag this, you're not human. Right. So this would be a draw. There's no way to make progress here. It doesn't matter how much you push. There's no way you're gonna push this king away from these two squares. And with this rook here, there's no checkmates. There's no nothing. So yeah, that's the easiest defense against against a knight's pawn. But there are others. Like you can try Philidor. So let's go back to the game and see how the victory happens. So now this king is going on the h file. Now the risk here, rook c1 was played, which is a good move. The risk here would be to get cut off of the h file and this king, you know, making progress. But that's not going to happen if we have a rook here, right? So rook c1, good move. Rook check. Okay, now I would go king g7, rook there. Okay, this is a complete draw. And now rook there. Okay, let me show another technique here, which is the so-called Philidor technique, or the defense in the third rank. But you can do it on the fourth rank. You can do it on any rank you want, which is to cut the rank in front of the king and the pawn in order to prevent the king from pushing. So the only way white can make progress now is pushing the pawn first, because usually these endgames you're gonna win if you can put the king in front of your pawn. I mean, sometimes you don't win, but the best way to make progress is going with the king first. With the king first, you know, trying to put the opponent's king in opposition, to check them away, and so on, and then make room for your pawn to get pushed. If you go with the pawn in front of the king, you're not going to create enough problems. So this is another common technique that you can do on any rank. Usually it's called third rank defense because that's the way to make a draw when you're in, you know, on your back foot. But you can do it on any rank. You can do it here on the fourth rank, like with this move. Okay, so yeah, I'm sorry, Gavalanche. This was a wake-up call for my endgames. Yeah, at least it's instructional. I did not know this game ended like this, so it's good that we're seeing this. Okay, so now king goes up. Still should be a draw, but yeah, check. Now the pawn can go up. So these moves, they're not giving away the draw, but they're sort of helping white follow up with their plan. And rook f5. Rook f5 is such a bad move. Like, the engine says it's still a draw, but it's like the worst square where you want your rook. You usually want your rook either on the back rank to be able to check from behind, or you know, on the long side, let's say, to not necessarily the long side, but many times you want it on the long side, and in general you want it, you know, apart from the pawn, so it cannot be attacked, and you know, ready to cut on the third rank or to cut whenever you need it. So here I think the best square for this rook would be probably the a1 square. That's my opinion, but I think there are many good squares, and rook c1 would be a good one. Rook a5 would be a good one, but you don't want it so close to the pawn, because for one thing, now third rank defense is not going to be possible. Like if this rook, let's say, checks you and you go back, you may want to go on the third rank, maybe, sometimes, maybe, probably not in this case. But what I mean is when you have your rook by the pawn, you can do that. So it's one of the clumsiest squares where you can have a defending rook. And after rook g6 check, yeah, king f7 is a blunder. Okay, so this is the real blunder, the one that gives away the draw. Yeah, you had to just keep your king near the corner and you can never lose. Now let's show, since we're here, let's show the other defensive technique that could make a draw here, the Kling and Horwich defense. So let's imagine this check would happen, which it didn't. Now you have to go to the back rank, and you don't want to go to g8, although in this case I think it still works. But usually you wouldn't want this because this comes with tempo and checkmate threats. But as long as you have the rook um, here that can come to the first rank now, I think this is still a draw because we have this defensive technique that I already showed that it will work against a knight's pawn. This is still a draw, but in general you wouldn't want that. You would want to play like king h8 or something like that, although same problem. So anyway, let's go there, and or actually let me try this. But because the rook is there, we can't do Kling and Horwich. Yeah, we're gonna have to go back to first rank defense. Yeah, in this case, it's the only thing that would work. Anyway, in the game, rook g6 happened, and yeah, after king f7, you're cut off. So white can make progress in the on the h file. Oh, Mr. Scribbles with a donation. I didn't know what was that sound. Whoa, thank you so much. Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. So see, if the rook was somewhere else, like if the rook was on the first rank, for example, rook now white would not be able to push the king because actually rook h1 would be checkmate, right? So yeah, this is a very clumsy square because now king h6 is playable, and not only playable, it's good. It's good, and white is making progress. Yeah. So rook f1 is just too late. It threatens mate, but oops. It threatens mate, but uh, first donation ever. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. No, I think it's the first. Maybe. I think people usually donate bits, and it's a different sound. But it was like a money donation, right? So yeah, I'm not definitely not used to that sound. Okay, rook g7 check, and wow, this is tough, huh? Because this position would be a draw if black had two moves in a row. It's like we're so close yet so far. Because if the king was on g8 or h8, we would have rook f8 with a draw, first rank defense. But here we're not in time. Check was a nice attempt, but now the king g8 is not even possible. Yeah, now this is gonna be king is pushed away, king makes progress, and we all know how to win this, right, Lucina? Okay, finally found the way. Yeah, okay, that was interesting. So yeah, there are many ways to win this. I think once you cover the H file, you can go king h8. But yeah, many ways. Anyway, rook check, and yeah, that's fine. So yeah, and here black resigned. Hmm. You know me, I'm trying to find stalemates where there are no stalemates. Okay, so yeah, good game. Very unfortunate for Gavalanche, but interesting endgame to know. Yeah. Okay, I think I'm gonna move on to move number 3 now, and I think board number 3 is the one that got the most number of nominations. So there are many games there. There's another game by Gavalanche there. There are a few games by Pulsar, um, other people. And the one I selected is Gilbert against Sepp, and I think the reason is because it was short. And I think now, after spending more than an hour already into games, I think it's good to pick short games. Does Gavalanche win this time? Yeah, we have. We have a victory by Avalanche, so we're not gonna show it. Yeah, I'll go there and I'll show maybe a position from that game. But yeah, at least you win the yeah. Okay, let's follow this game between Gilbert and Seb. Let me hide the moves, but we can still see the analysis here, and something happens over here. The game is short, 20 few moves. So let's see, e4, e5, and knight c3. Uh, no, sorry. I know some of you joined late, so I'm gonna repeat my criteria for picking up the game for selecting the games, just in case. Uh, no hard feelings. Uh, some of them I selected. I know you're kidding, but okay, just to say the same disclaimer again. I picked the games. First of all, I didn't pick all the games. Like top four games, I think top four boards. I picked games. Top bottom four, they're gonna surprise me. I'm gonna pick randomly because I didn't have time to prepare. So, um, but the ones I picked them because they were short, and I thought they were instructional, or that I could say something about them. Because, for example, on the top boards, I found some games that I was like, wow, this is high quality, but I don't even know what to say. I would need to spend time understanding and and studying, and that would be interesting. But I think out of the scope of this stream. so so yeah, some of them I didn't pick them because they were actually very high quality. So sorry about that. I think we can learn more easily from mistakes, um, and also made my job a bit easier to pick them. But yeah. So we have a Vienna here, right? With knight c3. As you know, the most common move here is knight f3 instead, or knight c3, leaving the option to play a4 open. Bishop c4, bishop c5, queen g4. I think this is all main theory. Yeah, usually you have a knight here, so you don't have queen g4. But black just moved the bishop out of f8, so queen g4 makes a lot of sense. This one I recall being pretty bonkers. I'm not sure I recall this game, but we'll see. Knight d5. Okay, this is a bold move. It may still be theory, I think. But black is attacking f2, but because white's queen left, queen takes f2 is not mate. It's just a check. And knight h3 theory, it seems reasonable to me. I would imagine. Whoa, KM. Thanks for the subscription, man. Thank you. I would imagine both moves, knight h3 and knight d5, should be theory. Knight h3 is in two moves the theory. Aha, okay. I mean, I think they're both reasonable, although I don't know these lines. Let's let's be honest, but I would imagine the most direct aggressive move being main line as opposed to knight h3, which defends, yes, but then it allows black to start their own threats, right? So yeah, I don't know. 95 seems pretty logical to me. We could check the database, really. Let's check the database. And 95 is the only move here in the database, but there's only 5 games. And this is the max lang defense, which last time I played it, I was very young, so I don't remember anything about this. 95 by far the main move. In the Masters database, it's the only move, yeah. And on the Lichess database, I trust you. But yeah, let's not go there. This is a very sharp game now. G6, stopping queen takes g7, but not knight takes g7. So knight h3 now, okay. Queen goes away, and d3 defending the bishop. And now bishop e7. That's interesting. I mean, I can't imagine there. Was that another donation? Chewbacca defense. Hey, thanks for the donation, guys. Oh, I think there was a message on the screen and I couldn't read it. I'm sorry, it was too fast. But thanks for the donation, really. Uh, there's probably a way I can see those messages somewhere. But okay, I'm gonna focus on the chess. So bishop e7, very interesting. I suppose it's theory. I don't know. Engine says +5, so I imagine it's not theory. Go 45, 45. Yeah. So knight takes e7 is a big threat, and I would imagine it's human to defend it. Knight h3 loses to d5. Okay. Otherwise, the queen is trapped. Yeah, well, this queen is trapped. That's true. But I was imagining bishop b6 or d6 to be more normal, right? Defend c7. But I think there are problems connected with f7 because after knight takes b6, the bishop is attacking f7. There's knight g5 and rook f1 coming. I don't know. Maybe that's the reason why black played bishop g5, trying to prevent knight g5. And c3, we don't care about c7 yet because the queen only has this square. And now knight takes c7. Pretty good, strong. King moves. Knight takes h8. And yeah, white is doing great, except knight takes a8 was a blunder. Oh yeah, let me hide this. This is why I picked this game, because I thought this was a very interesting moment. So knight takes a8 is a mistake. However, let me can I move back? Yeah. So knight takes c7, which forks the king and the rook. Knight takes c7 is a good move, but knight takes a8 is a bad move. And I wanted to ask you why, but I see already the answer on the chat. D5. Yeah, D5. Look at that. D5 attacks the queen and the bishop. So black is going to get a piece plus probably the knight trapped on A8 is going to be captured later. So black is actually going to take a bunch of material for this rook. So I thought that was funny because usually if you think about knight takes c7, you're thinking about grabbing the rook. But the best move after king d8 is just go back. Just go back. We grabbed a pawn, we made that king move, position super healthy. Just stay away from the tactics. Stay away from d5. Now d6 happens, we just move the queen. This is a gorgeous position for white. And it was completely winning position for white. But after knight takes a8, not that clear because d5, queen has to move, black takes on c4. You also grab the rook in the corner with one of your most active pieces. Yeah, now compare the knight on a8 with the knight on d5. So okay, black got something. Black got some material back. White is only an exchange up, and that knight on a8 is trapped. So the material situation is not that clear. Black has the bishop pair, certain activity now. And knight g5, good move. Saying, okay, now I'm gonna do the same on the other side. So please give me your bishop pair. Nope, knight h6. Knight h6 comes with a threat. This is also interesting. I've seen, especially in Bullet, so many times people missing threats because the opponent makes a defensive move. I don't know if this happened to you guys, but how many times an opponent makes a move like knight h6 that you're like, oh, that's just defending f7, and you miss the fact that it's actually posing a threat, that knight on h6. So, well, this doesn't happen so often in 45 plus 45, but in short time controls, I've seen this many times. That's why I love playing defensive looking moves that are sneaky. So yeah, black is threatening bishop g4. Let's see what white did. h3, reasonable. And f5, rar. Black, okay, trying to go active. Makes a lot of sense. If this bishop comes to f5, it puts pressure on f3, on d3, on this king in the center. Could be very reasonable, yeah. But now we're at this moment. So let's see what happens. F4 is about to trap that knight. This knight on G5 can be defended with H4, so maybe not. But yeah, good point. Good point that F4 could be an idea. But okay, White took on F5, and we know for the graph, we know by the graph that Black blundered at this point. So what could Black blunder here? I'm confused. I mean, I can't imagine Bishop takes F5 is a blunder, right? G takes F. I can't imagine G takes F being a blunder. Even Knight takes F. I'm really confused right now. I like I like all the captures. Well, I know Knight. Yeah, of course, Knight takes is a blunder because of Knight F7. So I guess maybe that was the blunder. Let's see. I know Rook F8. Ooh. Okay. Okay. Hmm. We've seen, yeah, Black trying to get too cute. We've seen this in Gavalanche game before, trying to be too cute. Yeah. Or as I like to say, um, I'm trying to translate it to English though. It's funny when you say, as I like to say, and then silence, radio silence. As I like to say, uh, perfect is enemy of the good. Um, yeah, you know that advice you always give to beginners and young players. You know, when you see a good move, try to find a better one. Nah, that's exactly how we say that phrase in English. Perfect. Okay, good is enemy of the perfect. Yeah. So if you see a good move, just do it. The perfect is the enemy of the good. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. So so yeah, you see a good move, maybe play it. That would be my advice. Like there are normal moves here. Well, knight takes maybe it's not normal because the knight was defending f7, but bishop takes is the most natural move. Um, but yeah, you try to find a better move, and maybe it's not that better of a move. Well, for starters, you didn't take the pawn back, so that's already bad. Your bishop was so happy on f5, so why wouldn't you put it there already? And now you're on defending h7, so let's see what happens. You're losing initiative, right? Bishop takes f5, g4 somewhere, knight e4 wins a piece. Bishop takes f5, g4, bishop takes d3. Ah, knight e4. You're right that knight e4 threatens the knight on h6. And I think that's precisely the reason why you should take with the bishop on f5. Because then you can always attack e4. Then you can always answer knight e4 with bishop takes e4, right? So let's say bishop takes f5. Let's put it on the board. Bishop takes f5. If you go g4, now bishop takes d3 is still keeping an eye on e4. So against knight e4 you can take, right? So so yeah, good point that knight e4 is a threat here. Knight e4 is a threat, yeah, and that's why you should take with the bishop. I mean, even take with the pawn. Yeah. Are there d4 and bishop f4 traps? At which point, Kuro? Knight e6. People saying knight e6 in the chat. I'm not sure in which line because it's black to move. Oh, if bishop takes d3. Correct. You're all right. You're all correct. Yes. Correct. Good point. So here already as black, yeah, maybe it wasn't that easy to find the moves. Here you need to find a solution for black. such as bishop takes g5, but bishop takes is check. E4 maybe you can consider, and then you can start considering moves that you don't like to consider here. Uh-huh. Yeah, I guess this is what black didn't like. Huh. So that makes sense. If you don't like that, maybe you take with the pawn, right? Sadly, no queen takes f5 ideas. Oh, I see your point. You want to take this to have this fork, but yeah, it's a mess. H6 is hanging, the knight on a8 is trapped. Position is a mess. So I'm not gonna. Uh, yeah, you can take on h6 at the end. I'm not gonna complain about anybody's mistakes here. Stockfish is really good at it. I don't need to try to prove myself better than Stockfish because I'm not. But yeah, very unfortunate for Black here to you know after a game that, let's remember, White was doing super fine, and then Black managed to complicate. But that's what happens in complicated positions. You can also blunder, and here Black blundered. So what could have been a great comeback for Black, unfortunately, ended up on this. Yeah, and White found 94. So yeah, I guess White is just winning a piece. Still a mess. This is still a mess, but I don't see a good move here for Black other than moving the queen, right? Yeah. Okay, so the game continued with queen d5, bishop takes, rook takes f5, logical, queen e3 takes, and king d2, going to get that pawn. Bishop c5. That's a funny move, but you just take on d3, right? Yeah. 94. Okay, so first, let me comment on this. If you take with the queen, then queen takes e4. But if you take with the knight, you allow queen takes g2 check, and then you're in trouble. So bishop c5 was a nice resource by black. So very, very interesting. Queen takes d3, trying to force the queen trade. White is doing quite okay, materially speaking. It's a full rook up, although the knight is trapped in the corner. So if the knight gets lost in the end, it's possibly only an exchange up, but it takes so many tempi to grab that knight that you're gonna be completely lost in any endgame. So White going for a queen trade makes a lot of sense. And 94. I mean, resourceful attempt, and the point is to open more lines, and that's what happened. So Black is completely it's going all in here. King e3, g5. Well, I guess nothing was working already, but yeah, pawn takes pawn, forces the queen trade. Check. You can take it, and White took it. Check in d2. Yeah, and Black resigned here. So yeah, very resourceful Black, but unfortunately in the tactics there were blunders as well on both parts. Very interesting game. Very interesting game. Yeah. Uh, Again, we have many other games nominated. Let's have a quick look at Gavalanche since we have it. Since we have Gavalanche here and the game was a win. For some games, I noted some interesting moments, but this was not one of them. So, oh yeah, I remember this game. This game, I actually was watching it live. Was a French defense. Yeah, I remember this. That b3. It was a good game, and here around here, Black went started going wrong. Yeah, a lot of activity there. And yeah, and king e8, horrible move. I think after rook c8, king e7, that king got in trouble the rest of the game. And yeah, good game, Gavalanche. This one, for example, I didn't want to pick it up. This I didn't pick this game not because it wasn't good and not because it wasn't short, but because it was too smooth. Like it's very hard to point at one instructional moment. Maybe you can argue that this is a mistake, this king e8 here, but on the other hand, black is already completely lost. It was just a bad opening. So, and this is a very beautiful move, by the way, bishop d2 coming to before it shows how busted black is. So yeah, smooth victory here, and I congratulate you for that. And I'll leave it here, this analysis, because this bishop d2 is so beautiful. We can already see how black is going to lose material. Black is going to have to block on c5 with a knight. d4 and bishop f4 is always a trap. The London trap. All right, so let's move on to board number 4. And I thought I selected Kyra's game, but I see I have Squire's game, so I'm not 100% sure which one I selected. So I'll pick one of them. All right. So we have Squire Western playing against AA Control. And we have d4. Let me hide the moves for you. Knight f6, and we have a Trompowsky with bishop g5. A very sharp opening. Knight e4, one of the topical lines. Bishop, usually, well, bishop f4 and bishop h4 are moves here. Bishop f4 most normal, but h4, look at that. What is that? c5. I'm out of theory already. d5, queen b6. Like everybody's trying to be funny. Queen is attacking b2. h4 must be some prep. Yeah, I guess. Now in this game I have the clocks. For some reason I didn't have the clocks on the other game, but in this one I do. Okay, cool. So, okay, this queen is putting pressure there on b2. 92. h6. So 92 attacking the hanging knight. And now, well, if you take, white will take back, I guess. Not sure why. I mean, b2 seems hanging to me. h6, bishop f4, queen takes b2. Yeah, I've seen h4 in some lines. I just didn't expect it right there. Queen takes b2 is a funny move also, by the way, because it's saying, okay, I'm hanging the knight, but then I have queen before check, and if you save your knight blocking back, then you lose the bishop. So I'm regaining the piece with queen b4. So that's a funny move, queen takes b2. And that's what happened. Look at that. Check. And c3, we prefer to give the knight and not the bishop. Makes sense. And now I would expect e3. Yeah, e3. And this position, it's hard for me to tell who's better and why. I would imagine it's equal-ish. But the fact is black is up a pawn. These jokesters, yeah, this opening was a joke. Black is up a pawn, but on the other hand, black only moved the queen and this pawn and that pawn. Like, we're so far away from even developing our bishops, let alone castling, and even the knight doesn't have a great square to develop too. So right now, black needs a lot of tempi to develop, while for white, well, we already grabbed space. We already have the bad bishop out of the pawn chain, and the other one can freely go get out after knight f3, so we don't hang g2. So yeah, white is ready to play knight f3, bring the bishop out, castle, and have a very good position that I'm sure compensates that pawn. e5. I can't guess any move in this game. Knight f3, bishop d3 traps the queen. Well, yeah, I mean, that's a good point. That if we get two moves in a row, that queen is actually in problem. No, this d5 though doesn't trap the queen unless d6 is played. Then it does. So let's imagine. Oh, but black needs to play a move. So in the game, e5 happened. But let's imagine we play a6 and d6. That would lose the queen. a6, but it's nice to show. d6, that's a blunder, and it is a blunder because bishop d3 now traps the queen because, well, it's trapped. Okay, we can all see that it's trapped. It has no squares except that d5 square. But because I played d6, I opened this diagonal, and now we lose the queen. So even though I played a6, tried to fight against this bishop b5 idea, black is losing the queen here. So d6, bad move. Opening this diagonal. Okay, so that's a nice idea you said there, that there's some constructions where that queen be in trouble. Yeah, so you not only moved only the queen, but also that queen is not that great in the center of the board because it's surrounded by enemy pieces. But e5, crazy attempt to complicate things. So now white can just move the bishop away, which I would probably do, but then black is getting some space, but black will get d6, this bishop will get out. So e5, nice move. And the alternative to that is to take en passant, where suddenly our great pawn on d5 disappears, and now that space advantage is not going to be that there anymore. King e2, lol, thanks for the follow. So e5 first move that isn't theory. Oh, really? It looks like a very normal move. I mean, not normal, but once you see it, it makes a lot of sense. f3. Okay, we're not going to take en passant. We want to keep this pawn here. We don't want to ruin our pawn structure, like, having separate pawns. So we're going to keep the pawn on d5, and we're ready to play e4 next. Okay, maybe not next. d6 is the main line. Oh, d6. Okay, makes sense. But as I said before, if you play d6 and white plays knight f3, now bishop d3 is threatening to trap the queen due to the bishop b5 check. So I guess here you have to play bishop d7 or knight d7, something that blocks that diagonal, or the queen out of there. So d6 is normal, but you have to be careful. Okay, that's interesting. Let's go back to the game. Oh yeah, white has some d6 ideas as well. Yeah, that's a good point. f3, queen f5, bishop back to g3. There was no option now that we didn't take en passant. And now I would expect e4. If I was black, I would consider e4. Let's see what happened in the game. d6, that makes sense too. And now I expect e4 or bishop d3. Bishop d3, okay. Queen has to go away. Rook b1 with a threat. Will black see the threat? I did not see this game. It's a very exciting game. Bishop e7, 92. Okay, and now they're castling. Now we're going to see a period where things go in black's favor. So let's see what happened. The clocks are getting really low, 16 minutes, 11 minutes, even though we're in sort of in the opening or the latter stages of the opening. But yeah, it was so sharp that it's no mystery they're spending time here. h5, queen d8. Okay. And c4, white is grabbing all the space. f5, black is like, my space is better than yours. And we have this, yeah, I was gonna say it looks like a check Benoni or like a King's Indian, like if white ever continues with e4 and f4 happens, something like that. Resembles a lot to King's Indian and or a check Benoni. I play the check Benoni a lot, so this This is definitely resembling a lot like that. So f5, or bishop c2. Bishop c2 is interesting. I think it has a couple of ideas in mind, but one of them being that e4 now doesn't come with a tempo to the bishop. My point is, I don't know what's going on. Okay, I don't know. I don't even know what's the best plan for each side. But in terms of not allowing your opponent to do certain things, it may be interesting. Let's put this on the board. It may be interesting that if our king is in the center, let's say exposed, and they ever try to open it, we can close it. Maybe that's interesting for us. Or if f4, it would be nice to play e4, which right now we can't. But e4 now we can just play. We can just take the free pawn if we want, and also it opens this diagonal, which is really dangerous. So I don't think black is gonna attempt f4, but e4 could be an attempt. And with the bishop on d3, e4 can't be answered with f4. So yeah, sometimes you just put your pieces away to be more flexible about how you're gonna react to your opponent's pawn breaks. So knight d7, queen d3, completely proving my point wrong. And bishop c2 had another complete idea, which is to build up this battery pointing to h7. I wonder what's the purpose of this. I mean, I wonder what's the idea for white to continue here to remove this pawn from the board, because I don't know. Maybe you need to move this bishop away to play g4. Is that the only way? Like, this feels too artificial to me. I don't see a clear idea to make that diagonal work. Maybe there is. Maybe I'm like, what I want to say is, if you're gonna, let's say, continue with bishop f2 and g4, which seems suspicious right now to me, but if you're gonna try something like that to justify this battery or try to use it, then you probably start with that first. You don't put the queen first. That's what I would think, but we'll see. Maybe I'm missing something. So knight f6, defending this in a different fashion. Knight c3, okay. Rook b8, king e2. So white is not doing anything about that diagonal. Not really. And e4. Bam. Yeah, that's annoying. Finally, e4 happened. And white decides to step aside, to step back. Because, yeah, if you take, the more you trade, queen d3 helps block queen a5 check with knight c3. That is true. That is true. I think the king wanted to go away from e1 anyway. But yeah, it helps. I mean, when you have a space advantage, now it's hard to argue that white has a space advantage anymore. But when you have a space behind the pawns, like white has certain squares, and you can coordinate the pieces in different ways. I like this knight c3 and king e2. I just don't understand what's the queen doing here. If you're not intending, this bishop c2 queen d3 feels off to me. If you're not going to use that to attack, then your queen is in the wrong spot because it's in front of your pieces. It's not the best piece to have there, because precisely e4 happened now. We were talking how bishop c2 was nice because then the bishop is not exposed to this e4 pawn break. Well, the queen is even worse than the bishop. It's more valuable. So yeah, finally e4 happens. And now, as we saw, white decides to step back, which I think is normal, because if the more you trade around your king, the more lines you open. So if you take like this, then bishop g4 is gonna happen. The f file is gonna open. So you don't want that. You don't want that. So queen d2 makes sense. And now take, and queen e8, threatening that pawn on h5. Also putting the queen very nicely placed on the e file. So I think things are going really well for white. For black at this point, as more or less we expected. Let's see how white managed to survive and then eventually win. Rook g1. I mean, the game is sharp. Rook g1 is giving away the h5 pawn, but of course we're opening also those lines. We hope to have some attack later on, right? King d1. Right. You can't play f4 because knight takes f4 or bishop takes, but I suppose knight takes. This pawn is pinned. So king goes away. This is still properly defended, and now we're ready to play f4. f4 by black. So critical moment. Both sides are trying to attack each other, I think, but so far black is doing a better job at it. I think it seems to me as this king is very exposed. So f4 is a move you don't usually want to do as black, opening this diagonal, but right now it works very well because you're threatening to take on e3. So unless white finds a good way to defend that enough, like very ugly, rook e1 is very ugly, f3 will hang later, or white will have to play e4 and then the diagonal is blocked again. Ugh. So what's the alternative? To take, but then all the attack comes. I suspect white here played either e4 or knight e4. Let's see how the game continued. e4, yeah. Bishop f6. Now the knight will go to e2 probably, yeah. Attacking this pawn. Now bishop e5. I was considering g5, but okay, bishop e5 makes sense. Queen e1, king h8, queen f1, bringing the queen to the attack. Not sure. Okay, yeah, that's a square. There's a threat. Okay. Knight h7, defending the checkmate. Bishop h4. Note that this rook is defending f4. Otherwise, knight takes f4 would be a move because the bishop is would be overloaded. So importantly, this rook defends that. Otherwise, knight f4 would be completely killing because if the knight ever gets to g6, it's game over. So bishop h4, okay. Now that may be connected with some crazy tactics like bishop g5. That would be very interesting. I think now, right now, white is enjoying the position a lot. Despite blocking this bishop, which was bad, like now the rest of the pieces, they're having fun. Even the knight on e2 is having fun. Position, the engine still likes black, but I feel like white is getting some momentum here. And this idea of, I don't know if the idea of bishop h4 is to continue with bishop g5, but is it a crazy idea? I think it's an interesting idea. Because no matter what black takes with, the other thing will remain pinned. Like if you go bishop g5, knight takes g5, we can play queen takes g5. If bishop g5, pawn takes, then maybe we can take, or maybe we sacrifice on h7. I don't know, it feels dangerous, but maybe it's enough defenders for black. So yeah, maybe nothing. And b5, the counterplay is coming. Take, 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 take. And queen h2. All right. Now, bishop g5 is still an idea. Bishop f6 could be an idea. There's some potential ideas now. Bishop f6 is bad. But hey, this is getting interesting. Rook b2, sorry. And yes, bishop g5 happened. Look at that. Oh, knight takes, allowing rook takes. Okay. Because the problem is bishop takes h6 is a threat. Yeah. So queen f7, everything's defended, everything's fine. Black is fine. Black is more than fine. Black is winning. But white has everything they were looking for. Queen g2. We're really close to the Collapse. Rook g1. Oh, rook g1 has a nice threat. Do you see the threat? Maybe maybe it's not a maybe it's not the biggest threat ever, but I think it's a nice threat. Yeah, maybe it's not the best. Nothing. So I think the threat is, maybe I'm wrong, but I think the threat is rook takes h6. The point that if you take with the pawn, then you hang mate on g8. That's why rook g1. And if rook takes h6, queen takes h6, then rook h1 wins the queen. Rook f8 forced to stop rook takes h6. Yeah, but again, I'm not so sure because you give two rooks for the queen and pawn. Rook takes h6, queen takes rook h1. Black's still doing okay, I think, right? Let's not forget that black is up. Sorry, black is up 2 pawns. So, yeah. But yeah, rook f8 would stop that for sure. Yep. So what happened in the game? In the game, bishop d4 happened, allowing that rook takes h6. And rook takes h6 happened. I imagine the evaluation still, yeah, still not like super good for white. It's just normal. But then black blundered again. So let's see what happened. Queen takes, rook h1. And now black blundered, apparently. How can you blunder here? What is a normal move here? Queen takes rook. Bishop back to e5 or bishop e3. Is that normal? I think I don't know. I think I may blunder the same as the player did because all the normal moves look normal to me. Let's see what the blunder was, and then let's try to understand. So bishop e3 is a blunder. It looks like a normal move. Oh, there's queen g6 maybe. After the trade, I mean. Yeah, I don't know. Take, and queen g6 indeed. Yeah. Right. So here, instead of bishop e3, maybe it was important to either take directly on h1 or maybe bishop e5 or some other precise, accurate move. Now, this rook on b2 is hanging. Like, it was defended when the bishop was on this diagonal, and that limits the options here because we can just go away from defending f6, for example. So, yeah, rook g7. Yeah. Yeah. This is not enough for white. I mean, for black. Yeah. And here black resigns because, yeah, e7 is coming. What a game. What a comeback. Nothing was working. Nothing was working for white until suddenly it did work. Chess is tough. And here, by the way, black was under a minute on the clock. So, yeah, and white has 2 minutes on the clock. Yep. Good game, Squire and AA. That was board number 4, so we are halfway. And I would be able to do this much faster. Anyway, it's checkmate, not resigned. Oh, good point. E6 checkmate. Bam. Oh my god. Yeah. Good game, Squire. Good mate. Okay, I think we're gonna watch Scribble's game now. Scribbles, are you still there? Mr. Scribbles. I think this is a short one. Hello, you still there? Okay. So, this is board number 5. And we have a couple games, actually, uh, were selected for board number 5. Trying to remember how this one went. Was it a Halloween Gambit? No, it was 1d4. That's not a Halloween's Gambit Val. Yeah, yeah, no, it's not. 1d4, d5, and e4. What is that move? Well, since we have the author in the chat, maybe he can explain what is e4. What is that? Blackmar Didmer Gambit. Is that it? Yeah, it is, right? That's the Blackmar Didmer. I don't know. I don't play this. It feels weird to me. I mean, I do understand. Some people do this against the Scandi, right? So in a different move order, e5, e4, d5, d4. I've actually faced that once over the board. And then you take and white goes f3. So you get to the same position, just instead of starting with d4, you start with e4. Is there a list of selected games somewhere? Hey, Wanderer. So yeah, people nominated these games. There's the game nomination in the website. Exactly here, game nomination for the Lichess4545 league. So on each season, people can nominate games, and I put them in a study. So I'm gonna share this study later because I think I have all the games, but I didn't request computer analysis for all of them. So I'll make sure that everything's there, and maybe point to some interesting moments and leave a few comments, and then I'll make the study public if it's not public yet. Yeah, it's not public yet. So yeah, I'll make sure everything's there, and I'll publish it later. I usually play e4 or f4, but decided to play d4 sometimes in the league to mess with people's prep. Move ordering someone in the Scandi like that is a filthy trick. I love it. Yeah, which reminds me of the King's Gambit. You know, I play the King's Gambit as white sometimes. I like playing the King's Gambit a lot. And when you play f4, which I usually don't, but you know, sometimes you may play f4 to surprise your opponent, and then your opponent answers with the from gambit. That, you know, that's a really dangerous gambit. If you don't know it as white, you can get lost very easily here. Like if you take the pawn, it's it's a very dangerous. But you can just play e4 here. So nobody does. Nobody plays one f4 intending a king's gambit. But if I was to play f4 and I was to face the from gambit, I may consider e4. So I just don't need to study the from gambit, you know, because why not? So yeah, this move order things are funny. And another move order thing, these move orders in move one and move two are really funny because sometimes you don't expect them. So let me talk about another move order that actually surprised me once in an over the board game. I never played the Sicilian. Okay, so against e4, you've seen me play in over the board classical chess. I've played e5 many times. I've played d5 many times. I've played c6. I've played e6. I've played knight f6. I've played d6. But never ever I played the Sicilian. Never. In classical chess over the board, I only played the Sicilian once, and only because I didn't know my opponent. My opponent did know me. So it was like, okay, I'm going to get you out of book. So I'm going to play the one thing I don't play. That was the only time I played it. So I never played the Sicilian. Okay. But there was this game where I faced a strong player. He played one knight f3. I'm a Benoni player, so I played c5, and my opponent played e4. I was like, ah. So yeah, it happens. It happens. I guess arguably that was my other Sicilian over the board. But yeah, sometimes you can play fun move orders in move one and two and get to positions like this. So okay, so we have the Black Dinmer Gambit, and Black transposed back into a Caro-Kann with c6. So speak of move orders, this could have happened in the move order e4 c6 d4 d5. So this is main position, like the main position in the Caro-Kann, and we got there by transposition d4 d5 e4 c6. So we have a Caro-Kann. Many ways to play here. There's the advance. Very rude of my opponent not to play into my prep, right? Um, okay, so the advanced variation of the Caro-Kann, probably the most popular. The two knights well, not the two knights, but knight c3, which can lead to two knights and other stuff depending whether black takes on e4 or not. Um, one line, the pan of attack, which is takes, and c4, and then the line I like a lot in blitz is takes, and bishop d3. So many possibilities here. Got so flustered I didn't even realize we were in a Caro-Kann. This is like the main position of the Caro-Kann. This is where the Caro-Kann starts. Okay, so in the game, knight c3. Perfect, good move. And black takes. Okay, there are other lines. For example, very common here is knight f6. Very common is e6. Very common is, well, g6 even. I think knight f6 is the main move. And then I like the two knights. And then bishop g4 and a lot of theory there. Anyway, takes. Now white. Now you went for your Black Dimmer gambit ideas with f3. Nice. Of course, the main line in the Caro-Kann here is to take. And let me just point out, I'm declining the gambit decline. Yeah, you're refuse to decline to. Okay, it's a mess. Yeah, Black Dimmer gambit declined. Let me point out a funny thing about this line of the Caro-Kann. This is main line. Okay, so nobody is gonna make this mistake. But something that happens a lot in the Caro-Kann in many lines is that black brings this knight out, but then white can ruin your structure. So here the main move actually in the theory is knight bd7, intending to then bring this knight here, so you're able to recapture with the knight. So a normal line would be bishop d3, knight f6. But I just want to point out this trick because in bullet so many people fall for it. You play queen e2, and if they play knight gf6, which many people do because it's like the next follow-up move. Then you have this checkmate. So just to point out a funny line. And in fact, queen e2 is not a bad move. It is not. So it's a nice move you can play here. And here black needs to either play e6 before they play knight gf6, or what many people do, and I think it's the main move actually, is go with this knight instead. Because anyway, you're going to be able to take here, and black is fine. But yeah, fun stuff. And then you love this line with black. Nice. There's so many fun lines here. I'm trying to recall another one with the queen on e2, but okay, we're getting very far from the game. In the game, f3 happens, so let's go back to that. And just to explain the idea of the Blackmer-Demer gambit and what's happening, white gave a pawn. Okay, white let d takes e4 happen, and then e takes f3. So black took 2 pawns, and white took 1. But as a result, white has more development. White has space, very good space with that central pawn. And probably, also very importantly, white got some open lines. Like this bishop will go active somewhere on c4, d3. And then whenever we castle, the rook on f1 will have a semi-open file already. So, of course, this bishop also goes out. Like, all of white's pieces have a lot of harmony here. So the pawn is compensated for sure. And bishop c4 makes sense. And ooh, bishop g4. Ooh. Oh, that's such an ugly move. Yeah, that's the one thing you don't want to do. Yeah, here I would expect, I don't know, e6 maybe. But bishop g4, okay. Who can tell me in the... Well, we see also the spike on the engine's evaluation. Yeah, that was such a bad move. So, people from the chat, can you see the problem with this move? Ouch town. Oh no, my queen. Cathodes. Oh no, my queen, exactly. Bishop belongs on f5. So here there are 2 ways to gain an advantage as white. One is bishop takes f7, with Jake Carmody pointing out in the chat. And the one I like the most, I think, is what Cathode, I think, is thinking about, which is 95. I like 95 even more so. Yeah. Both of them with the same kind of trick. I have to check it out. So bishop f7 was played, but okay, thanks for the follow. Interesting nickname. So yeah, 95 would be a beautiful, oh no, my queen. And if black takes the queen, bishop takes f7 is checkmate. So the reason I like this is because it seems as if we're winning a piece. Literally. Because bishop f7 is not bad. Actually, it's also pretty strong. You grab a pawn and you ruin that king's position. But you gave a piece for the pawn and then you regain your piece. So you won a pawn plus ruined the opponent's king. So yeah, it's very good. But I like pieces. Oh, 95 bishop e6. Oh, but I love that also. Yeah, so that's a good thing to point out. I wanted to point out actually both the blunder bishop h5 and bishop e6, which is very common. And the reason why I like 95 is because I love this kind of position where we didn't win material, but the opponent is busted. Like, look at that. Look at this knight. Can't ever be challenged by a pawn. Yes, there's gonna be 97, but I mean, yeah, for bullet and blitz, I love this this idea a lot, even though I understand bishop f7 is simpler. So yeah, bishop e6 would be the right way. And now let's show this blunder, bishop h5. Blunder. It defends f7, but you just take it. Yeah. So, okay. So, in the game, bishop f7, pretty straightforward approach. Take, check. Okay, the king is not looking good there. By the way, since we're talking about this trick bishop f7, we're talking about this trick when, you know, bishop g4, bad move because bishop f7, knight e5 check. Since we're talking about this, and since I'm a Scandinavian player, this trick is very important in the Scandinavian and in the Caro-Kann because these positions happen with this pawn here, this diagonal here, black wanting to put the bishop on g4. So this kind of trick is important, but it doesn't work in the queen a5 or queen d6 Scandi. So I think that's important to point out, maybe, since we're trying to be instructional here. Let me put you a position on the queen d6 Scandi. This is mainline theory. Bishop c4, bishop g4. Oh no, bishop g4, blunder, because we allow bishop takes f7. And now e5 check, regaining the piece. Nope, queen takes e5, boom. That's why with the queen on d6 or on a5, there's a counter trick to the trick bishop f7. Oh no. And now actually, after pawn takes, bishop takes, it turns out black is up a piece. Because, yeah, two pieces are hanging, but we're only going to take one of those. We take one, black saves the other, black is up a piece, because right now, before we take, black is up two pieces. So, yeah, I think that's relevant. That's why chess is tough. Because the same patterns, the same ideas, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, because of the position of something else. In this case, black's queen. So it's good to know the patterns, good to know the ideas. Bishop g4, bad move there. So let's see how the game continued. What it was like. It looks like it's going to be a smooth victory by Mr. Scribbles. h6, sad. Bishop f4, queen e8, queen e2. Maybe intending to bring the queen to deliver a check that would probably force a queen trade. Let's remember that white is up. Well, it's really, yeah, white won a pawn, but in the opening, white gave a pawn. So actually, the material is equal right now. It's just black's position is not great, but yeah, material is equal. We shouldn't be happy with just trading stuff. Knight e5. Point, I guess, is that after the trade, we're attacking this knight, and then the f-file will get open. Man, this king is in so much trouble, and this bishop is not moving. Take, yeah. 95 I mean, good attempt. Queen e4. Queen e4, I don't like queen e4. I would never go for a queen trade. I guess it's fine still. I was considering just takes and e6 maybe, because that bishop is never coming out. Yeah. But okay, queen e4, interesting. Black takes that, but now there's queen takes f4. Rook takes. Okay. I thought queen e4 was trading into a much better endgame at the time. See, my problem here is if black survives, material is equal right now, right? So I'm not 100% sure it's a better endgame. I understand your position is still good, but the more you trade, now this bishop is happier. The more you trade, okay, your endgame is good, but you know you have that pawn on e5, right? You have this space advantage. The more pieces disappear from the board, the more you're overextended actually, and that pawn will become weak. And also, I think one of the main features in this position is the ugly position of this king, the ugly bishop here, I would try to exploit that. Like keeping queens on the board will threaten checkmates. So for example, this line would have been very concrete, and I would really, really like to play e6 here. I don't know if it's the best or not. If queen e4, maybe queen g4. But yeah, man, this this looks really ugly for black, and this bishop never moving now. And keeping queens on the board, yeah, it gives you a lot of chances to keep having checkmate threats or strong attack. Jamaican Senpai, Pepe, are you happy that your team won 7-0? What team? What are you talking about? I don't know what team are you referring to. Don't recall a team of mine winning World Cup. What World Cup? Okay, Queen takes would be my choice here. Spain beat Costa Rica. What? Ah, soccer. Soccer. I thought you meant chess. Oh my god. 7-0 made no sense at all. In chess, there are 4 boards. Yeah, no, I'm not into soccer or football. Yeah, no. Sorry. So rook takes f4. Okay. Queen e6. I think black should trade queens, honestly. I think black has many more chances to survive this. The material is still equal. If black trades, even the bishop is arguably better than the knight. Like here, if black just takes and makes the bishop happier, this already starts feeling very close to equality to me. But instead black kept queens on the board, and now white keeps putting pressure. Cool. Oof, it's ugly. The knight is coming, so probably c5 is necessary. c5 did not happen. The knight came. Black took the pawn, but there's queen takes g6 here. Yes. Queen g5. Okay, there's... Wow, this is looking so dangerous. So queen f7 followed by knight e6 is killing here, right? Rook f rook f8, nice. I kept wanting rook f6 to work. Okay, rook f8 is funny. So you get to an endgame with queen versus bishop and rook. But yeah, I was thinking this check. I don't know, maybe... Yeah, right? Because you can't play rook f8. Knight takes queen is check. This would have been killing, I think. Like, I don't even know what's black's move. But let's imagine queen g6. I don't know. Queen g6, I guess. Like, I feel like knight takes g7 is just game over. Like, of course, you can trade everything with queen takes, then rook f7, rook takes pawn, and have still a very good position, very good endgame. But I feel like knight takes g7, you can't trade queens because then I defend the knight, so you have to take the knight. And now I just get out with my queen, with rook f7 coming, on probably the check. I don't know, anything. It's such a bad position for black. But, okay, that was one way. Rook f8 is funny because you take, knight e6 check. Very nice find, I have to say. Now queen check, now queen h5. Ah, queen takes e7. Okay. Okay, fine. King back to g8 makes not much sense. Here, if I was black, I would have tried the checkmate threat with rook f8. Right? Like, you never know when your opponent is gonna hang mate, right? This, oh, the bishop is pinned. Correct. So we need another move. Yeah, then the threat is going to be obvious. Um, or white can just blunder here, but yeah. At least bring the rook to an active spot, because after king g8, I don't know what the rook is doing. It's taking the long way. Finally, blocking the bishop. See, the rook was much better on f8. Oops, sorry about that. I think we were around here. But I guess the rest of the game is not very relevant. Check, check, back. There's a threat to win the bishop, so you have to go king h7 here. Yeah. Oh, but we're winning the bishop anyway. Check and check. Yeah. Check and check. Nice. And here black resigns. Good game, Mr. Scribbles. Yeah, some grind there. Yeah, just one thing about this game. I think it was a smooth victory from beginning to end. But this part here, I would never go for a queen trade with white. And Rolly Lahala. This part here, I would always take a queen trade with black. I would capture that queen, and that would make white's job tougher, I think, to convert, because material is equal, and the worst thing that black has is the king and the development in general. Those are the problems to solve, which are really hard to solve when your opponent is checkmating you. But with queens off the board and your opponent no longer checkmating you, then it's easier to solve that problem. What would you have tried instead? Was your plan? Just I would keep queens on the board. In this case, I already said I'm very much favoring that idea of e6, because that shows that that black is gonna keep having that problem for a long time now. And I don't know, like, just bring the other rook. This rook will come here. Like, the position, I think, plays itself at this point after we get e6 in, because these are not coming out, and on the other side, all of this is coming. Yeah, this feels really, really, really lost for black. And of course, we can always also try to collect something on the other side, because let's say after rook e1 and we defend e6, we can. It plays itself. It speaks for itself. Like, it's so hard to get those things out, and the king is always in trouble. Like, if this queen has access, let's say queen f3. Let's say after we defend e6, queen f3, we would have already all sorts of checkmate threats on the f file. We're in attacking that, and this queen will always have to keep an eye on f7. Yeah, this is. But yeah, I would keep queens on the board, because that's our main advantage, is the opponent's horrible king. Plus, getting e6 in, it would be a plus, because otherwise the bishop gets out. If we don't play e6, if we play, let's say here, this, and black gets some trades and black gets the bishop out, then it's not clear. Still good, not so clear. And in the game, yeah, with the queen offer, I would have done that with black. I would have traded, not knight takes, but queen takes, and e6, and get the bishop out. Still good position for white, but the more we trade, the worse. Like, right now, there's more trades on the table. So if we allow that, if we allow all the trades, black will eventually get the king out of that position. Already we don't have an attack or anything similar to an attack here. The bishop is already controlling the squares the knight can jump to, and here I would be already relieved as black. Not happy. I think the position not particularly great, but much relieved. So yeah, the fact that black didn't go for the queen trade made, I think, the rest of the game easier for you. here again, I would have avoided the queen trade. And again, as black, I would have traded queens. Yeah, this sort of position. And I think if black gets bishop e7, g5, some rook to f8, the more we trade, if we imagine this position without all the rooks, for example, just the knight versus the bishop, bishop can do a good job when there's pawns in both flanks, and definitely not easy to convert. In fact, at some point, this pawn may be weak, and even black could get an advantage in such an endgame. So I would avoid endgames in general. When you have a position where you don't have any material advantage, it's all about the space, the attack, then keep the attack, keep the queen. That would be my approach. All right, I think we're ready to move on to the next board, which is board number 6, and I'm totally gonna pick a random game. Okay, this looks like a smooth game. I don't have computer analysis for the other games. Okay, let's pick that one then. Sure, scribbles, yeah. All right, we're watching now the game between SSYX and Bushi, and we have a Sicilian with knight 3, A3. Mind blown. I don't know what's A3. And bishop c4. So, okay, A3. Now I'm trying to guess what's on the player's mind is to have a retreat for that bishop on c4. That's my only guess for a move like a3. Bishop g4. Are we seeing the same trick again? Now on g5? a3 is the best move according to nothing. Look at this. Bishop g4 again. Allowing bishop takes f7 and this time knight g5. And it happened. Okay. This is going to be another very similar to the previous one. Wow. And look at those light squares. Like, okay, knight 95 allowing queen e6 and queen e2. Okay. Well, I guess the knight is defending f7, so maybe queen e6 is nothing. Queen e2 is sort of threatening queen b5 check that would have to be met with queen d7. h6. So tempting to go queen h5 now, but knight f3. Queen h5. This reminds me of a game. This reminds me of a game that I played where something like this happened on the other side of the board. It's very unrelated, so maybe I shouldn't. But let me try if in a minute if I can find that game and show that it has nothing to do with this position, but I don't know why it reminded me of that. And it's been years since I don't see that game, so now I'm curious to bring it up. I have it in a study for sure. No, it's not. It was an over-the-board game. It's not on the Lichess database. It's definitely in one of my studies for sure, and I think I remember the name of my opponent. Yeah, his name was Pepe. So, but maybe by the last name is easier. It may be, yeah, there it is. So, yeah, it was an interesting game. Nothing to do with, I mean, a lot to do with attack, like this. But there was this point. Hey, PKR, yeah, just after the stream. This moment. Yeah, this moment was interesting. Because here I calculated many lines. I calculated for a long time here. It's a very interesting position, and I I think it's a great exercise of calculation here. To we want to avoid the queen trade, as as we know, in this kind of position where our opponent's king is in trouble. We just saw that. So here I considered many moves. I'm putting some arrows to show some of them. And in the end, I calculated and I picked the best one. The best one was queen a5. That's the best move. But it was funny because there was this b6 line that I had to calculate. And I just calculated that the best move there was bishop e5, check. So that's the flashback I got from this position with these pawns here, my queen and my piece hanging. I just got the flashback to this game for some reason. Mostro Ashay, thanks for the follow. Why do you want to avoid it? Trade down with the open G file and a pawn up. In this position, no, I'm just up a pawn, but the open G file is good for my opponent, not for me. With bishop h3 coming, my opponent has the bishop pair in an open position. Yeah, no, I totally want to avoid the queen trade here. Yes. I sacrificed a piece. Well, my opponent regained the. I did regain the piece, but I opened the position to attack, so I want to attack. Hey Jarvis, hey, thanks for the follow. So he can't attack you. No, the thing is, the king is in the center, and any move, really, any of those moves, I I showed any move that removes the queen, it threatens rook e1. So I'm the one attacking here. The line with queen a5, it was funny because in the game b6 did not happen, but it was funny, the line with bishop b5 check. Yeah, and that's the flashback I got. And after bishop b5 check, black is in a lot of trouble. Then what? Yeah, exactly. Then what? So you can consider here bishop d7, I guess, or you can consider king d8. It doesn't really matter much. Let's say bishop d7. And now I need to remember what I calculated, but I think it was bishop takes d7. Well, the main point of bishop b5 is you can't take because the rook is hanging, right? Which here I'm thinking something similar with the rook on h8. So I was thinking a move like queen h3, maybe a good follow-up here. Anyway, in this game, after bishop d7, I think we trade. And if king takes, it's completely exposed. Queen d5 just grabs the rook on a8 at the very least, and there may be other lines. So you have to take with the king, with the queen, sorry. And then what was it? I can't remember if queen e5 or rook e1. I don't remember my calculation, but there was a very concrete line. I'm sure that I ended up with an advantage. I would imagine rook e1. Or even queen d5 is playable, but yeah. Anyway, I thought it was funny. Yeah, interesting. It is really exposed, so I imagine here it's best to just keep the initiative and try queen e5. Maybe there's rook e6. Yeah, so this line is not so clear. I don't want to turn Stockfish on. But I'm thinking maybe here you can play queen a4 or something like that. I mean, you don't need to trade. I just had the instinct of trading. Anyway, yeah, interesting. Sorry about that, going so far from the game. But queen h5 did not happen here, just knight back to f3. But white is having a very pleasant position. And at that trade, I don't like it, because now you need to be careful with that. Okay, d3, g5, queen b6. Very exposed to things. So castle, safety first. And now finally that jump happened. And now you take. White has the intermediate queen h5 check. And that's, I was going to say that's what happened in the game, but pawn takes. Okay, king moved. Check. King has to move. Rook e1. Yikes. Queen f7 attacking. Rook b1. Interesting. I was thinking rook e6 to attack the bishop. Okay, rook b1, ready to play b4. That's it. Rook f8. If I was black, I would consider c4 here. Just sacrifice a pawn to keep the b file closed. Rook f8, queen e6, bishop e5. Bishop e5 is suspicious, so let's wait here for a second. Is there a tactical shot here? If only that pawn was on a6. Oh, to take the bishop, yeah. No, I was calculating pawn takes c5, which is a funny line, but it doesn't quite work. So there's no need to go fancy. Let's see what happened in the game. Bishop e3, seems pretty good, yeah. Bishop d4. What if rook f6? Maybe rook f6 made sense. Anyway, bishop d4, pawn takes e5 now. Yes. Yeah, this is just distraction. Distraction as in destroy, destruction, not distraction. Also distraction. So if queen takes, rook takes b7. If queen doesn't take, the queen is lost. So queen takes, I mean, there's problems on e7, problems on b7. Yeah. So checkmate threat there. Couldn't you take the bishop as well? Yes. Now we can take the bishop. I mean, it's black to move. What does black do here? Queen c8, I guess. Ah, no, there's a mate on e7 as well. I guess the mate is unstoppable at this point. You have to sack your queen. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Nice. Wow, nice attack indeed. SSYX, crashing, and playing very good thematic moves. You know, well, first of all, the bishop takes f7 trick happened because the opponent played bishop g4. But then, all very natural, nothing complex, just put the pieces back, safe. Bring the rook to the open file, the knight to an active square, the queen to an active, all very normal. And this thematic idea of trying to open lines. So very well, very good demonstration of an attack here. Nice. Very nice game. And we're on the lower boards and we're seeing very, very nice play. And we get to Jake Carmodi's game on board number 7. We don't have a computer analysis, but we don't need it. This is the infamous game. And I'm pretty glad that this was nominated because I watched this game and after what happened in the game, I thought I don't understand chess anymore. Because I got to the game right before the end game, or actually in the end game. And some decisions were made. I had my opinion, like, okay, now it's over. Now black wins. But then white won. So, whoop, whoop. Yeah, so let's see what happened. Well, first of all, we have a Mora Gambit. I didn't see the whole game. I just got to the end. This is some high-level stuff. Yeah. Watch these guys. First of all, a Mora Gambit. Very similar ideas to the Black Dimmer Gambit that we saw, except this is better than the Black Dimmer Gambit because you don't weaken your own king. Okay, all of this very normal. We transposed into an Alaping right now. This is thematic position of the Alaping. I played this position. I've played this position like 1,000 times. This very position. exactly with knight f3. But I never played the Mora. So speaking of transpositions, let's show a different move order in the Alapin defense, where you play c3, intending to build the center, and the opponent hits with knight f6, so you push, then you push, and then here you play knight f3, because they can't take on c3 because the knight would be hanging. So we have exactly the same position coming from the Alapin. So let's go back to the game. Here we are. So we're playing an Alapin. Takes is normal. Here I play knight c3 usually. Bishop c4, I think it's very normal. Bishop d2, takes. Well, you can of course here think about blocking with the knight, which is a bit clumsy, but just a bit, because actually on the next move you're gonna castle, you're gonna have no problems. And to avoid trading pieces, always a thing to consider as white when you have space advantage is to try to keep pieces on the board. In general, having a space advantage goes very well with keeping pieces on the board and with trying to build an attack, and you need pieces for an attack and so on. So I guess knight bd2 maybe more normal, because at least if your opponent decides to trade, then they're giving away the bishop pair. You get something in return, while bishop is a piece of the same value. So I guess this trade is working very slightly in black's favor, in the sense of trading pieces when you're short on space. On the other hand, you can argue that white traded their worst bishop for black's best bishop, so it wasn't that bad either. d6, take. Taking with the pawn, I like. Keeping the, well, in this case also you need to, but I like to keep the space advantage. Queen d6. Okay. Take. Now that pawn is weak, or is it strong or weak on d6? We'll see. Bishop. I'm going fast over this game because I know things are gonna get interesting now in the endgame. Now that pawn on d6 seems lost to me. g4, rook takes, rook takes. So now black is up a pawn. So should still be holdable, but yeah, it requires, like, if these pawns are gone, if the queen side gets liquidated, then it should be more or less an easy draw, 4 versus 3. Although I wouldn't push my pawns so happily as, but okay, should still be a draw. Okay, that was very interesting. Check would win a pawn, so rook d7, sort of forced, but at the same time a rook trade would be completely losing for white. It would be completely winning for black, a rook trade, or so I think, but I may be wrong. Rook c6, rook check. Now black does the same and black captures a pawn. Yeah, yikes. In fact, here I would probably have taken here, except no, I wouldn't. Yeah, no, I like rook takes a2 better. Okay, h4, rook d2, threatening to grab yet another pawn, but at the same time allowing white to grab that pawn a7. So here, maybe it was not necessary. You know, when you're already 2 pawns up, I would probably have considered king d7 first, push the rook away, and then rook d2 makes sense, or rook h2. Yeah, black should be winning here. Check. Okay, black went for this same idea again. That makes sense too. a5, that's weird. Rook d5, okay. And now you have to go rook c3, only move. Okay, check first, and rook c3, good job. And now rook c5, a very good move by black. Now, in your professional opinion as chess players, should white trade rooks, or not. Let's say, or rook d3, or rook h3, something. Should white trade rooks or not? What is the chat opinion? Rook d3, Leopard Toe says. Rook d3, rar. No, King e2 says no. Does black lose all the queenside pawns if you trade? I don't see how. I don't see how, Cathode. You have to go king d3. You have to. It's not a direct route to go after those pawns. Trading seems like it is drawable since black king is so far away, but I'm locked away on d5 and d4. Right. So no, move the rook. Yeah. So um, we're 2 pawns down. Okay. So we're 2 pawns down as white. So in my opinion, especially if it's bullet or if I don't have time to think, I would never ever consider a rook trade. I would just move the rook away. Now, if for some reason I think, oh well, I have a good king, my opponent doesn't. Maybe my king is close to get attack some pawn, maybe get a pawn. Okay, maybe I consider calculating it, but it's definitely not something I would do without calculating, or and even so, it's very unlikely. Like you'd be a long shot and only would calculate it because I'm lost, so I might as well explore all my options. But it's like the last option on my list to trade rooks in a position that I'm 2 pawns down. Enter a king and pawn endgame 2 pawns down. I don't love the idea. So yeah, no. So this was a funny moment in the league in the season. So I'm glad this game got nominated. Because I entered this game, I think like a couple moves ago. Like I entered the game was around here, so or I don't know, here. Yeah, I don't know. It was somewhere around here, and both people in the chat and Jake Armodi himself, whispering out to the spectators chat, were considering the rook trade as an option for white. like the question that was in the chat is rook takes rook winning? And I was like, yes, it is winning. Of course it is winning. It's winning for black. Like, I'm so surprised of. Hey, thanks for the follow, Nicholas. So yeah, it was a very surprising moment for me, and it shows, first of all, what exciting the league is, and second, how complex chess is. Because what happened here is, yeah, you guessed it, rook. Oh well, rook takes rook didn't happen yet, but king d4, it's allowing the rook trade, so it happened the rook trade in a different fashion. But yeah, a rook trade happened, and white ended up winning the game. 2 pawns down. So very funny. I thought it was funny. And in fact, when you look at it, uh, black did like 2 mistakes, because of course you have to do mistakes to lose this position. But it was just, it doesn't take so much to lose a winning position. That's my point. That's how tough and complicated chess is. Strategy when losing: try to survive while hoping for a repeated position or for my opponent to fall asleep or blunder. Okay, that's also a fair strategy. Okay, so king d4 happened. Well, if you trade and you try to go there, well, there's a lot of things black can try here. Like, for example, running to save the pawn would be, hey, Leopardo, thanks for follow. Would be probably the first guess. And okay, maybe you lose that pawn, but I mean, c4, or just take that. I mean, like the safest is probably c4. I would probably play c4, and yeah, so many ways to win the game. And you can also consider, of course, moves like f6 and so many ideas. I mean, you're 2 pawns up, just create a passer and win. Um, and in the game, after takes, now this is an interesting problem. Now is black to move and lose. Well, you can't do it in just one move. Like there's no single losing move here, so it will take a couple moves. But how do we lose this position as black? It's not so easy. Or okay, let's ask the question in a different way. Black is objectively winning. Yes, yes. I do know something about it. Yeah, black is objectively winning. But there's one thing I like to, since we're trying to be instructive here. Uh, b5, very nice, Wanderer. b5 would have been my move here. I counted a lot of moves here, got fingerprints all over my monitor. Funny. So yeah, b5 would be my move for sure. For sure, absolutely. How much time remaining? Not so much. I have just one more game to show, and I'll try to do it quickly because I'm already taking more time than I thought. So yeah, not so much. Maybe I don't know, 20 minutes would be my guess. I thought b5 is bad. No, b5 is great. Oh, the time in the game. Let me go back to the game position. No, I don't have the clocks. So maybe J. Carmody can tell. Game was 45 plus 45, but I don't have the clocks. Plenty of time left in the game. Okay. H6 is how I would for a quick loss. Good point. Good point. Yeah, H6 doesn't lose because the king is there. But maybe if you move your king away and then play H6, yeah, good point. Okay, B5 is by far the move I would play, and the move I would imagine would cause resignation, like immediate resignation, because now black will have a pass pawn whenever. This king cannot enter. Like we can start creating a pass pawn this 4 versus 3 on the other side. And for white to spend a few moves to just have to trade and then get distracted that king, it's like white is going to lose like 4 or 5 tempi here on this side only to liquidate this. And in 4 or 5 tempi, I can tell you this pawn is gone, for example. Like, you know, it's, I, I can't even count the many ways black has to win this after b5. b5 would be my move for sure. But there's this concept, since we're trying to be instructional, that I tell my students. I've never read this on a book, but I don't even have a good name for it yet. But I call it distance to the mistake or distance to the blunder. Is here white played, black played king e7, I think. Yes, king e7. So king e7 is still winning. So you ask Stockfish, or you ask the database. I don't think we have a database for so many pawns. And there's no big difference between b5 and king e7 in terms of evaluation. It's still winning. It's still winning by far. But I think this one, king e7, reduces this concept that I give of distance to the mistake or distance to the blunder. That is, if you here you need like 2 or 3 mistakes in a row to lose. If you do one, you're already closer to the final mistake, right? So king e7 is not a bad move, but it makes you already passive, because now after king c4, which was happening, which was playing in the game, king b5 is a threat. So now your way to win is going to be to run, defend that pawn, right? Like king here, king b5, king c7, and it's not that you're not going to win. You're still going to win, but it will take longer. And then sometimes you have only moves, because you know then you need to be accurate. in my opinion, it's much easier to not have to be accurate, to just have a completely winning position and not, not allow any counterplay from your opponent. But okay, king e7, king c4. Now there's counterplay, and now here comes the second mistake, right, which is actually not losing yet, but it's making it so hard to win. f6 now. So this is winning. Don't get me wrong. But the reason this is winning is because you win the pawn race as black, which is already like the last thing I would like to have to calculate as black. Like, I mean, if I can make sure that I have one passed pawn here, one passed pawn. Yeah, exactly. Now you have to think. So first you allow this counterplay with king c4, king b5, and then instead of running to defend, which you still were in time to, you you create a mess. I mean, it's not a mess, but you create a position where white is going to grab your pawns. You're going to grab white's pawns or some of them. You're going to try to create a pass pawn. It's going to be a pawn race. Black is ahead in the pawn race. So these endgames are winning for black, but you already have to calculate pawn races. Like, why would you give chances to your opponent? Um, yeah, most rush is suggesting, how about just running after the f4 pawn? Yes, that wins. That wins too. All the pawn races are winning for black, but actually this one is not. So not all the pawn races are. Yeah. Man, that's a bad square for the king. f4. So I guess you're still winning. Well, first of all, I would play king c7. But yeah. Uh, you can win in other fashion. But yeah, why would you go? Black would have queen with check too. But in that line, no. In the line I showed, not. Yeah, exactly. We were just one tempo short. But yeah, that's true. The king was already also there. Anyway, after f6, I guess the move that wins now is e5. Right, that kind of pawn race we can win. But you have to calculate already. Man, this is tough. And now pawn takes g5. That was the final blunder. Yeah, if e5, maybe f5 also wins. But see how these two moves, king e7 and f6, they were not bad according to an engine, but they put you already in a position that you have to calculate. And here you have to be precise already. You have to calculate f5, you have to calculate e5, see which one wins, which one doesn't. And and f takes g5 was played. Huge blunder. Huge blunder. Uh, maybe black did only consider f takes g5. Maybe. And then this pawn runs and it's going to win the game after well, or you can start with king d6 just to shoulder the king. If king takes, start running with the pawn. But of course h takes g5, found by J. Carmody, and we have to admire this position because after a very suspicious rook trade, we get to a position where it's black to move. So that's funny, right? King and pawn endgame, black to move, black is 2 pawns up, black is lost. This position is lost for black. These pawns are falling apart, and these 3 versus 2, they can't make progress. Those pawns. Amazing. Yeah. So yeah, I just took 3 mistakes in a row, but the first 2, an engine will not tell you they're mistakes, but I will. I think they were very very bad moves. Okay. And the game continued like this. And well, yeah. And here, black resigned. What's wrong with king d6? Which position exactly? Instead of f6, I would have played king d6, yeah. If you mean instead of f6, I would have played king d6. And after king b5, king c7. But again, b5 was much easier. b5. Yeah, okay. Since we're late, I'm sorry, I'm going to move on to the final game. And this one, I have the analysis here, but I didn't see the game. So let's see. It is disorder. Hey, thanks for the follow. So it's the last game we're going to show. It's from board number 8. It was the only game nominated on board number 8, so I didn't have to look at it to decide. uh, let's look at it together and see what happened. So we have another Sicilian with knight f3 and bishop c4, a weird move. You know, in the Sicilian, usually all the main lines go with d4. You can play some sort of Alapin delayed with c3, and there's of course all the lines with bishop b5. But bishop c4 is not so common. Knight f6. Are we gonna see another bishop g4, bishop takes f7? Let's see. d3, no. Okay, e6, black playing very normal. Bishop g5, bishop e7, castle, knight c6. And this is sort of a closed Sicilian, except in the closed Sicilian you usually have your bishop on e2. Hey, thanks for the beats, Jake Armodi. No problem. Thanks for being here. So bishop d7. Okay, both sides are developing pieces, bringing pieces to squares. 93, very interesting. Yeah, 95 seemed like a normal, very good move, grabbing the bishop pair. And here as white, I would consider maybe going bishop b3, so as to, you know, threaten to save my bishop. So black needs to take a decision and already take it. And then I may even consider a takes to open the rook, or queen takes, either one. But yeah, bishop b3 would be my guess here. 93, I mean, defends the bishop, that's true. But the bishop is not threatening to go anywhere. So it's not like black is forced to take the bishop yet. So rook e8, okay. a3, okay. And now it's now or never for black taking the bishop. So black took the bishop. And I guess knight takes, yeah. Thinking if pawn takes is something, because you give away e4, but this knight is here exposed, and there may be some ideas. Just don't see any ideas. But it's an idea that crosses my mind. Maybe there's something here. It feels like there must be some compensation for white. But yeah, we're already looking into compensation. We shouldn't. Okay, so knight takes, more normal. The problem with knight takes is I'm ready for black to hit with d5 eventually. But okay, I guess with the bishop on g3 that will not happen easily. So b5, okay, knight has to go back. Bishop c6, very good diagonal. Black has the bishop pair, let's not forget. Knight c2 is the most, the strangest move ever. Knight c2. I don't get it. Okay. uh, try, it doesn't prepare d4 because d4 hangs e4, right? I mean, it takes a while to prepare d4. Maybe. I mean, you're going to have to either take on f6 or do another weird move to, to support. Yeah, I don't know. It's very strange. And the problem with knight c2 is it's not going anywhere. That's why it feels so strange to me, because from c2 the only square the knight has is the square e3. So why would you play knight from e3 to c2? um, unless it's a very very deep plan where you're gonna move a rook and bring the knight to a1 or e1. It's too deep for me. I don't see it. While the knight on f1, if you really want to move the knight, which I think makes sense, the knight on f1 is a very normal square. Another thing I like to say, by the way, whenever I play with knight e3 positions, I really really like to trade this bishop on f6, even though it looks suspicious. But the main point is, so let's go back to this position instead of knight c2. If I trade here, and okay, obviously I'm giving away my second bishop, so it's now the knight pair against the bishop pair. But now I'm so ready to bring the knight to g3 and then, yes, play d4, that kind of position where in the long run I'm going to try to probably get a block center if I can with e5, d5, whatever. If I don't, if I cannot, I'll keep the pawns on e4 and d4 and say, okay, I have a space advantage, and what's your bishop pair doing? If you push d5, I'm going to push e5. If you push e5, I'm going to push d5. I'm going to block the center. I'm going to have the knights supporting the central pawns. And that would be my, well, one of the ways to approach this kind of position. But you need to include bishop takes f6, because if you go here knight f1 to g3, then your bishop is trapped. So g5 will happen, and you have issues. And if g5 happens now and you play with bishop g3, then okay, the knight is maybe not so happy about that, about bishop g3, but I guess it's normal. It's another way to play. But anyway, this square feels more natural for the knight. So knight c2, okay. a5, grabbing space, e5. So the rook is doing something there. Hey, John John. So e5, that's interesting, because if bishop f3, I guess e takes d6 is the intermediate idea that white has, except the bishop takes queen, pawn takes queen, bishop takes c2. So that doesn't work. So I guess bishop takes f3 is a move here, right? And it did not happen. Okay. Bishop g3 with a threat to take that. Bishop d6, good defense. d4 finally happened. And c takes d4, interesting. This is getting dangerous for, I want to say it's getting dangerous for white, because black's pieces look very harmonious. But on the other hand, c takes justifies the position of this knight. I would have considered either not do anything about that, like for example rook a8, or maybe c4. But yeah, it's a tough call. Yeah, now the knight is much happier on d4. It's jumping to b5. So queen b6. Are there tactics already, like knight f5? Or no? Happy knight. Yeah, those knights are good. I have the feeling there may be some tactics here, but I don't see anything. So queen e2, bishop a6, hinting at b4. Queen, queen moves again. No, John John, I did not. Rook d8, queen c2. This is a funny sequence. Rook c8, okay, threatening again. So will the move? Will the queen move again? Yes. And no, black plays for the win instead of repeating the position. Black plays bishop c5. Okay, it's a battery here. Knight f3. Rook there. I was thinking knight h5 was interesting. going after that bishop. Okay, rook c d8, queen must move again, back to c2. And knight d7, going for trades. I like black's position in general. b4. Okay, it's crazy. Takes, and bishop moves. And are we going to see more trades? White could have started some trades there, but rook a2, probably hinting at doubling rooks. So this game, it's going to get crazy soon, it looks like. If it wasn't crazy enough. Take, all normal. And we have a knight versus bishop situation, bishop b7. As you know, this is my favorite endgame, knight versus bishop. So I would love in this position. Also, we have the pawns on the right color. So if I had this position, I would find a way to trade all the heavy pieces and enjoy that great knight. But of course, life is never that easy. Queen c1, queen f4. I like what white did there. That's a nice queen. So we don't care about c3 as long as we can attack on f7 and then win a rook. So black needs to keep an eye on that. I assume queen c7 maybe. Yeah. Now c3 is still hanging, but again, if you take it, queen takes f7, so not really hanging. Rook e3, very sensible move as well. Bring the rook to the attack, defending c3. I like it. f6. I never play f6. And this move seems to force the queen trade, right? So knight g6 and queen d7. Back rank danger. There you are. Fair point. Fair enough. Back rank, and also black could have chosen to put pressure on g2, but I guess back rank first and see how white reacts. Rook e2. Nice defense. Queen d5 now, maybe? Queen c6. Okay. So yeah, threatening mate there. Rook g3. Very sensible move. Defense and attack. And it's getting dangerous. Already even crazy ideas come to mind. Rook d8. Another back rank mate. Now h4 seems logical. Rook e1. I don't like rook e1. Did black have rook takes c3? Here? Yeah. It's an interesting point. Rook takes c3. If you take, there's a back rank mate. Very, very well spotted, John John. Yeah, I guess so. If rook takes, yeah, it looks like a pawn black could have taken there. Nice move, John John. And yeah, the back rank is an issue. Sorry. White's back rank is an issue. Nice. Yeah, like it's an issue, so you cannot even consider moves like rook takes a6. Rook takes e6 would be a nice move, except it's not. You're mated. So yeah, but rook g3, very nice defense and attack. And here after rook there, I don't like this move that white played now, rook e1. I don't like it at all. I would have played h4 and solve once and for all that problem on the back rank. And the rook is very passive now, rook e1. Rook d3, very nice. with the same idea as rook takes c3. Yeah, and now what do? You don't want to play f3. It's ugly, and you lose c3 anyway. You don't want to play rook f3, but maybe you have to. Uh, rook c1 maybe. Maybe rook c1. Ugh, it's getting ugly. Knight h4. Now this is double edge because knight h4 allows g5, but g5 is pinned. But rook takes g3 is on the table, so it's a mess. So g5 may or may not win, but probably black can just play much easier with rook e d8 or so. Rook takes g3, okay. Queen takes, I'm expecting, but because g5 is there, right? Otherwise, taking, yeah, but g5 is there. You have to take with the queen and defense c3, okay. And queen d7. What is black doing also? Queen d7. Finally h3. Okay, the game seemed to have gone back into some sort of equality. g5 now for no reason. I thought g5 made some sense earlier. Now it's knight f3, king f7. Huh. Knight e4, such a gorgeous knight. I like white now a lot. And e5. And here comes the blunder, by the way. Here comes the blunder. What's the deal with white's time? Oh yeah, white has almost an hour on the clock, and black has 4 minutes. And white lost, so yeah. So if it was me, I would probably play queen e3 here. What do you think, guys? Or maybe the other move that's very appealing to me is knight b3 to c5. Yeah, those moves come to mind. Queen e3, e takes d4. That's a fair point, because I thought queen e3 was preventing e takes d4, but it's not. Oh, but queen d3 then. Queen d3. Now I'm preventing e takes d4. Yeah, queen d3. I like. Oh, queen d3. I like it a lot. Queen d3, threatening b5, threatening queen h7. Ugly. Like, I don't believe you have any good move. Even if you solve the ping, even if you play rook d8, I have. Yeah. I like queen d3 a lot. Yeah. And e takes d4 hangs the queen to queen h7. Because there's no background mate because we played h3. Okay, so let's put it on the board. And this is not checkmate because we played h3. Otherwise, it would be a funny line if we hadn't played h3, which was a long time ago. So the line doesn't make sense. Oh, 95. Look at that, 95. Hanging a piece in one. Okay. Not the most instructional moment, except for one thing. 59 minutes on the clock. 59:49, and now it's 1 hour 15. And there's a plus 45 seconds increment. So that means 11 and 15, 26. 45 minus 26, it's 19. So this move was played in 19 seconds. Maybe trying to pressure the opponent. Well, that's a rookie mistake. That's a rookie mistake. By playing fast. Like, I mean, the blunder speaks for itself. Like, what can be more it's crap when you blunder, but maybe you blundered because you're playing too fast. Right? So it's, I mean, it's super embarrassing. You're not using, thanks for the follow, mate, in Mexico. So you're purposely not using your time, then you blunder. So you're doing this to yourself. It's super embarrassing. It's like your opponent doesn't even need to do anything. Yeah. Pulsar in shambles. Yeah, Pulsar does this a lot too. And I think we didn't select that game, but there's one game where Pulsar just blunders in one move as well. Something like this. Explain 95. There's no way to explain it. It's just, I mean, the only way I have to explain it is 19 seconds. The move took 19 seconds. And black is fine. Maybe black didn't need to go queen f4 and end up hanging b5. But okay. Like, I mean, maybe you can defend everything and even start attacking. But okay, that's fine. Queen d3. Oh, Sprody is giving the line with queen d3. Let me go back for a second there. Queen d3, e4. That's interesting. Queen takes b5. Queen takes b5. Knight takes b5. Rook d8. Yeah, definitely a line. But, you know, this kind of position, I'm super happy to play it as white. It's like this endgame where I already have the pawns on the perfect squares. Rook c8. Yeah, we can keep playing the line forever, of course. Now rook e3 is a little bit risky, but you don't have f5 yet, so maybe rook e3 is the best move. Otherwise, I would play rook c1 and then reroute the knight to c5. But yeah, this position I would play. I would be so happy to play this as white, because this is gonna. I know I'm gonna win in. This is my kind of endgame. So I know I'm gonna win after 80 moves from this position. I know it's gonna be a slow grind, and I know black is gonna be suffer, 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 suffer. So this is perfect. This is perfect. Next, white will play g4 or g3. It doesn't matter. 2 pawns up, 2 pawns. It's 1 pawn only up, but yeah. Also, the pawns are on dark squares. This is a dream. Hey, Johnny D, welcome, buddy. But yeah, in the game, thought the longest thought was 25 queen d2. Okay. I don't know in which move are we. Yeah, we're already moved 48. So yeah, queen d2 here, rook e3, queen d5. Nice move. Queen d5 seals the deal. And we're gonna have that kind of endgame we were talking about. No, queen f1. Good find. Keeping queens on the board. Yeah. Oh, I mean, queen c4, queen trade, but also exchange threat. So you have to trade queens here. Oh, what? There's no perpetual there, right? King g7 was played. Okay. I mean, I like it, but I would have taken here. Like here, there's no perpetual, and the rook is defended on c7. So, okay, you can't take this pawn even. You have to take the bishop, right? Or give some more checks, but eventually you're gonna have to take the bishop. And I'm a full rook up here, so yeah, okay, king g7. Just saying, okay, your rook is bad. Your rook is really bad, so I don't even need to take it. Okay. Same trick again. Ugh. I would trade rooks here. Yes. And now queen d4 check. Yes. And now take on h4. Okay, that also works. This is horrible for white. You think, Jung, there's some stalemate ideas. In fact, yeah, I would wait to see if black plays with g4. Okay, there, queen b1. Okay, queen defense g4. King h3, very unfortunate. Did not happen, but still queen g6 strong. But you see what I mean? This check. This is the kind of thing that kills the game. I mean, of course you're lost, but with this you're more than lost. As in, there's no way you're gonna get stalemated now. This is just a super easy win. So yeah, I would try to keep queens on the board as white instead of allowing that. Maybe g3. So I'm very good with giving stalemate ideas here. See? Very good with this. Also, you're like, oh, but you know, you're gonna get checkmated. No. Stalemate, still a stalemate. So g3, interesting. Okay, king h3. Queen e5, nice. Oh, and here the game ended. Resignation. I would have kept playing. Just, you know, for maybe a move or two. Something like this. 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 No, sorry. It was so this. This. And then queen h1. So that doesn't work. Yeah, it's hard to create a stalemate when you didn't play g3 before. All right, I'm done, guys. That was no. That was a lot of games. It took longer than I expected. You have queen g6. No, because there was no stalemate in that position. The call Baker, thanks for the follow. So we covered a lot of games, many interesting moments. These are only some of the nominated games. There were a few interesting moments. Thanks, Leperto. I got a couple interesting moments. Let me see. This was, for example, not an obvious one. So let me see if I had maybe a couple more positions to show. I wanted to show specific positions, just not the complete games, because there were a couple of moments that were very instructive in my eyes. Oh, this was a tricky one. Yeah, this required some analysis because this was a tricky endgame. Here, black blundered with g4, so the position is equal, but this is a very messy endgame. And apparently g4 was a blunder, but the reason was not obvious. So it ended up in a draw, and this position is drawn according to the engine, but it's a mess. So, but I thought it was funny because after g4, e7 wins. It was played in the game. Is knight e8 a move? After g4, the problem is g3 is coming. So yes, knight e8 is a move, but so you want to take this bishop, I suppose. Now g3 is coming, and then g2 and h2 are coming, and you're completely happy to give your rook for that queen if white plays e7 e8, right? It's complicated. I think you have to play h2 first, because if you play with g2, then rook g1, and then h2 hands rook takes g2 check. But if you start with h2 and there's no rook g1, then g2 will get a queen. So very messy position there. Rook a3 ideas. So let me actually show what happened in the game. After g4, e7 wins, but the reason it wins, it's not obvious. In fact, after g3, the game went into a draw with rook g1, which was a blunder. But here, the winning idea was rook f7 check to then have rook f3, which I thought it was a beautiful maneuver. Because if you go rook f3 directly, which looks good, it looks good, right? But then bishop takes, pawn takes, g2, rook g3 check. The pawns are under control. King f7, the pawns are under control as well. So this will be a draw. A funny draw, but a draw. Because the king is in a good spot. On g7, it's sort of in a good spot to come here to f7 and stop those pawns. Because if the king didn't have f7, then d7 would win on the spot. And here, if you go g2 directly, then rook g3 check, king f6, it's sort of the same thing. But the trick is, if you start with rook f7 check, and now the king moves, let's say, here there are several options. You can go to the h file, you can go to g6, or you can go to g8. So if you go, let's say, to the h file, then rook f8 wins instantly. There are some lines because g2 and so on. But what was funny is if you go king g8, which seems like the normal move that prevents rook f8, the only move that prevents rook f8, now rook f3. And now the difference with the previous line is that after takes g2, we don't go rook g3, which will lead to king f7 as we saw earlier, but we go d7. Bam! And this is winning for white because the king is on the back rank. So it doesn't matter if black gets a queen here because we're going to get a queen with a check. Yeah. So rook f7 check, rook f3. That was a beautiful idea. Just force the king to the back rank. Then d7 is going to be stronger. And if the king doesn't go to g8, then you have rook f8 next. So that was an interesting moment. Those things are really hard to spot in the games. And this one I thought also was interesting. Because this position is a draw, but it's not an easy draw. And it ended in a draw, but some blunders happened. So here in the game, bishop h2 was played, which is a blunder. And other moves didn't blunder, like bishop e5. So rook versus bishop is a draw in general if you're on the right corner, like this king is. But there's the addition of the pawn, which makes it trickier. Bishop h2 is a blunder. In the game, it was not used in a good way, so rook g2 was another blunder in response, and this ended up in a draw after many moves. And well, this is a known draw already. But let's go back to that position and show what was the winning idea, which was not entirely obvious. But the bishop on h2 is wrong. And the reason is you first do the check, so you force bishop g1, only move. And now you waste a tempo. And I thought this was a beautiful idea. So white is not stalemated because we didn't play king g3, for example. But white is forced to move. So white needs to go to that square, king h2, and now we check. So now when the king comes back, we have time to play king to g3 in such a way that there's no check because the bishop is on g1. Like if the bishop was somewhere else, you could throw a check and you would be fine. But here we don't have a check. So you have to move the bishop without a check. And that gives exactly the time black needs to play h2, king h3. So that was funny. For example, bishop a7, h2, bishop check, king h3. And now it's very different from the game. In the game, the bishop could capture the pawn. Here, we can't capture the pawn. Well, not only we can't capture the pawn, but we also need to deal with these checkmate threats. And the g1 square is covered, so now we no longer have the draw that we usually would have blocking with the bishop. So here you can still try to survive for a couple of moves. Bishop g3, if black captures, it's a stalemate, but you just go to another square and it's gonna be checkmate. So that was interesting. Bishop h2, blunder, but not easy to see the maneuver to win. Chess is tough. Yeah, and I think I'm gonna stop here. Or maybe here, because we were talking about, yeah, let's show this one too. Unless 44 minutes left on the clock. With 44 minutes left, black played the move. Rook takes a2. By the way, look at the clocks, 44:51. So spent 24 seconds. No, sorry, 21 seconds. Spent 21 seconds on rook takes a2 blunder. Why is it a blunder? Who can tell me? Rook b8, very nice. Cole Baker, rook check, yes. Not that hard to see, right? You check, you take the rook. And a rook up. And we're talking about Pulsar here, 2000 player, who always plays this fast. And on every season I see here and there many examples of this from many players. Just, use your time. This is a 45 plus 45 league. It's such a shame to play a good game, because I'm sure this was a good game up to this point, and then just a one move blunder where you spent barely 20 seconds to think about the move. Yeah. Would you like a nice puzzle? Not really. Not really, John Jong, because hey, thanks for the follow. I spent much longer than I wanted with this, and I actually told PKR I would be ready to play some Backhouse after the stream, so he's kind of waiting for me. So yeah, it's been a nice recap. I think we've seen very nice positions. I can always keep going forever analyzing games, so I have to stop at some point. And yeah, everybody, please join the league. We focused on some of the mistakes and blunders. If you think you can do better, join the league and show us. Go to www.lichess4545.com, and I think season 33 is starting right now. Yep. Okay. I'll share the links to the study and YouTube and Twitch on the Discord, and yeah, happy to do this, and thanks everybody for being here and interacting. That was nice.